40-35, baby. What an upset.
What a great time to be a Commodore.
That's what I'm talking about. What a great day to be a Commodore fan. I've always been a Commodore fan.
It was, hysterical for the people at home. Bailey just saw his costume, came in here and set up the cameras and goes, it's too late. It's too late to jump on the bandwagon. You guys can watch from a distance, but you can't jump on the bandwagon. So you don't have to worry about me. And now Dylan that showed up in the full-blown Commodore outfit here. I like it.
Look, I'm not saying I'm a Vanderbilt fan. I just wanted to pay homage to what a great win that was. I'm not a Vanderbilt fan. I'm definitely not a Vanderbilt fan. I'm a UT fan. We are number one again, which is deserved.
And look, Bailey's up on his soapbox. Pavia for Heisman, he's saying.
He did. He texted me that last night. Pavia, he said, if you compare Johnny Manziel's numbers to Diego Pavia, then they're about even at this point, I guess, through the season. And so that means that he should be a Heisman contender. They did lose to Georgia State, so in the game? Okay. He was talking about the game versus Bama. I see. Yeah. Got it. I mean, actually, what's funny is, and we're going to talk about that game in full when we get to college football, but his numbers actually weren't like crazy. But if you watch the game, he's like the sole reason they won. Like, he led every drive, made every big play. He was awesome. But like, his numbers were something like 220 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then like ran for 50 yards. Like, it wasn't really that great of a statistical game, but he was awesome, and he's the reason they won. Yeah,
I caught most of the second half. Didn't see any of the first half, but Bailey said they pretty much dominated the game. That's what it looked like. So
they definitely dominated the game. They absolutely.
I'm glad they ended up holding on. I thought they would,
You were texting me
somehow blow it.
You thought they would blow it.
The fact that the Cowboys and Vanderbilt found a way to win late in the game is
4th and goal from the 4, baby. Dak Prescott, never a doubt. Never a doubt.
I had a lot of doubts.
I didn't.
A lot of doubts.
Dude,
they got it done.
Vanderbilt outgained Alabama by 24 yards, 418 to 394. And damn, Vanderbilt threw for 12 yards per pass. That's crazy. They shredded that Bama defense. But look, I said this last week, and I don't want to get too deep into this because we're going to come back to this game. Yeah. But I said this last week when they played Georgia. I'm like, that defense is terrible. I picked Georgia in that game, and I think when watching Georgia struggle with Auburn for a good chunk of the game today, I just don't know how good either of those two teams are. That said, I don't know if anybody's that great except for Texas. Ohio State and Oregon are 2 and 3 right now. They play each other this week, and they look like there's a bunch of holes in both those rosters. Texas by far looks like the best team in the country. We'll find out when they play a better team this week in OU. But
who's obviously having a down year, but
sure.
I mean, much better competition than they have been playing. So,
and next 2
although
weeks,
they did kill Michigan. So.
Yeah, I mean, no, the Michigan win's impressive, and the back-to-back games this week and next week. OU on a neutral at home against Georgia. They come out and win those 2 games, they're going to be more than likely.
Well, I mean, early in the year last year, we said the same thing, that Michigan just looked far and away the best team in the country, and early on they did, and that's what Texas looks like now.
100%.
I think Texas, ultimately will, is favored to win the national championship and will, but I mean, it's tougher, it's
sure.
three playoff games now for them, even if could be 4 if they don't win the SEC.
And that's what's so frustrating is like Texas could go 12-0. That's legitimately possible looking at their schedule, right? If they beat OU and Georgia, they could very well go 12-0. And if they just lose that SEC title game, even to somebody who has 2 losses, they don't get the 1 seed, right? Because they didn't win the SEC, which I hate. I really think it should just be based on ranking. I don't like that you have to win your conference championship. Like, if it was who wins the regular season, fine. But I don't like winning the conference championship game when you just have, like, it could be a team that has two more losses than you in that game. Anyway, going to be fun when Texas plays Vanderbilt in a couple weeks too. Okay. Best thing I saw this week, staying on this subject, is absolutely, I'm going to stick to a lot of this game today, given my costume, my Commodore hat. Give him my Commodore hat. You like the hat, by the way? It's a good hat.
Breathtaking.
Taped Vanderbilt on there. Got it for $19 on Amazon. Don't use Amazon.
What a deal.
But they did ship it to me directly.
I was hoping that was 10, but 20?
Well, hey, they've hiked their prices. Inflation's a bitch.
Yeah.
But best thing I saw this week was after Vandy beat Bama, Diego Pavia's interview with, I forget the girl's name on SEC Network, Alyssa Land, and she asked him about the game, and he goes and I can play it, but he goes from, it's all in God's timing. It's all in God's plan. God gave me a vision as a little kid. 10 seconds later proceeds to say, look at this, Vandy, we're fucking turned. And then goes back to, it's just one more game. We got to stay grounded. Just got to stay grounded. I mean, it was the most bipolar interview I've ever seen. It was absolute gold.
Diego, you just beat the #1 team in the country. What's going through your mind right now?
It's literally all God's timing. Literally from the jump. God gave me a vision when I was a little kid. And he don't let that any promises. It's God's timeline. I'm super thankful. Super thankful for guys like Eli Stowers. Man, that kid's incredible. The rest of our team, look at this. Look at this. Vandy, we're turned.
Diego, what were you saying to your team to finish this game?
Games like this change your life, you know what I mean? It's all about hype nowadays, and I don't like it like that, but it's a reality of NAL and all that stuff, but no, just stay grounded, be where my feet are, and every single day tomorrow I gotta work on Kentucky.
You had 70 family members here. What did it mean to do this in front of them?
Yeah. Where they at? Where's the family? Where's the family? Come on.
It was hilarious, and it was even better at like the whole game. They're showing these guys in the crowd cheering for Vanderbilt, and they just look. And again, this is not a race thing at all, but they just looked out of place, and like everybody's very calm, and they're like over here drunk, like partying, going nuts. And my dad's like, "Those guys do not go to fucking Vanderbilt," and they're like Diego Pavia's family. Like it was fucking hilarious. There was like 19 of them sitting there going crazy in the middle of like all these fans.
He knew they were going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just keep it there. It was pretty awesome to see Vanderbilt win it. And the best thing I saw was them carrying the goalpost down Broadway. It was hilarious. And then they throw it in the river, Bailey, at the end. Yeah, that was awesome. So that's pretty cool win. Then you have like Lane Kiffin sitting in the presser, like trying to answer questions. And he was just like, "Oh, sorry." So watching the end of the Vanderbilt game, he's like, "We may never see that happen again." That's what he said. How disrespectful to Vanderbilt. This is going to come a yearly win for them.
What's funny is
taking over the world.
Yeah, they are. The Commodores, baby, taking over the seas. I watched a short video on social media somewhere too, and it was Jackson Dart in the locker room after their game, and it was like him, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, it's over!" And it flips the camera, and they're all watching on his phone the end of the Vanderbilt game. Everybody across the country couldn't believe it. I mean, this was Vanderbilt's first win over Alabama since 1984, since September 29th, 1984, when they went into Tuscaloosa and beat them 30-21. You better believe I know that stat now because I'm a Commodore fan.
Yeah.
Now, Vandy also had never beaten the #1 overall team in the country ever. Never. Not one time. So history was made.
History was made. Now,
this will be the last time I stick to this before we come back to college football. But we have a new segment. We're going to call this award the Brooklyn, and we're going to give it to the best the toughest, grittiest performance of the week. We toyed with calling it the gritty, but I guess there might be some copyright concerns with that. But we're going to call it the Brooklyn, and it's going to go, each of us are going to give one. We have this beautiful trophy here with Brooklyn, our little Chihuahua's face on it. She's the grittiest animal you've ever seen. She's been nearly killed 17 times, was attacked by a golden retriever, survived, had her neck broken, survived, had her ear chopped off, survived.
Toughest fucking animal on the planet. Actually, animal doesn't matter. Toughest living being on the planet.
Right.
Brooklyn.
I mean, look at that thing. I mean, that is a stud right there. And so we're going to give this chest trophy with a picture of Brooklyn's face taped to it. That's going to be our weekly performance. And mine goes, the first ever Brooklyn for the weekly Brooklyn goes to Diego Pavia for his performance. 16 of 20, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for 56, QBR of 97 against Alabama, leads him down and runs the clock out after a 2nd and 12 where it looked like, oh no, they're going to choke this. They're going to have to punt it back to Bama. And he just makes the biggest play, the big ball play of the week, the big cojones play of the week.
The big cojones.
And he sidearms a little pass, and they get the first down, and he's going crazy. And that's my award of the week. And we do have a nice little ping pong trophy here too. I got 4th place in the Open division back when I was 13 years old. So I just want to let the crowd know that.
Quite an athlete.
I'm going to slide the Brooklyn over to you to give
Quite
your
an
littles of the
athlete.
week.
Dylan is going to hate this Brooklyn of the week, but I just realized I was going to give it to Rico Dowdle, but let's just be honest, he sucks. He had 80 yards. It was a great day for Rico. But my Brooklyn, pure heart, pure grit, pure determination, goes to Cam Ward.
Oh,
down
my gosh.
25 points on the road. Had no business winning the game. Probably got another lucky call. You told me there was targeting.
There was
I was
targeting.
fast asleep. I'm just looking at these stats. The pride of West Columbia, Texas brings back the U from 25 down to stay unbeaten. Hate is going to hate.
Haters gonna hate.
Dylan is just sick. I saw a mock draft the other day that had him number 1. And,
So
and
stupid.
bona fide quarterback hater Dylan over here. He likes Andrew Luck and Tony Romo. Those are his 2 guys. Other than that,
You
he
love
hates
Andrew
everybody.
Luck.
I love it, of course.
Talking about.
I know. I'm just saying. Those are like the only 2 guys that you think are okay.
That's not
And
true.
Matthew Stafford. But
Matthew Stafford's a stud. Super
okay.
Bowl champion.
He's got 3 guys. But anyway.
I could make a list of guys I like, okay? I have plenty of quarterbacks that I like. It's just that Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts suck, and I've been proven right again this year. Jordan Love was f***ing horrible yesterday. Go ahead. Finish your
No,
finish
that's
your
it.
fucking
Cameron Ward.
They
Great.
had no business winning that
Brooklyn.
game. 35-10. He doesn't deserve a Brooklyn. That's not the only reason.
Being down 25-10 and coming back.
It
If
had
it, was
nothing to-
CD, if it was CD Lamb, he'd be bitching on the sideline at everybody and quit.
I agree.
Roll
but
over and quit.
How do you not give that award to Xavier Restrepo? That guy's the only reason they won that game.
No.
I mean, he
Ward
caught
has
about-
Cam Ward has to own the ball, brother. It all goes through the quarterback.
Cam Ward, the interception that he threw to put him down 20 in the fourth
Here
quarter.
we go.
It was so
it's
disgusting.
all about but he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember the touchdown bombs. He
He
only
had
remembers
2 touchdowns.
177-yard bomb.
He had 2 touchdowns. When do you have a 77-yard bomb? Who did he throw to? Oh, it was Restrepo. That's right. That's what I thought. Restrepo. Yeah. Actually, he was
Someone's gotta
outplayed
throw him
by
the ball.
Fernando Mendoza of Cal. What a brutal loss for Cal. 21-3 in the fourth
Yep.
quarter. 21 unanswered. Okay. I'll live with that. I don't know what's worse, Cam Ward or Rico Dowdle. I don't dislike Cam Ward, and I actually thought he's been playing really well. And then the last 2 games, they should have lost both games because of him. And I told you they're gonna. I told you they're
back both times.
I told you they're going to lose multiple games. They've
Still undefeated.
well, Virginia Tech and Cal are both pretty bad, and they're at Louisville this week, and I think Louisville sucks. But I would be never mind, it's off a bye, so that's 2 weeks from now. But yeah, I mean their schedule's a joke. At Louisville versus Florida State versus Duke, at Georgia Tech versus Wake Forest.
They'll
at
lose.
Syracuse.
They'll lose one.
They'll lose
find a way to
one.
win. They'll
But
find
they're
a way
going to
to
be a top 4 seed. They're going to win the ACC. Although I think Clemson could. beat them.
Clemson could beat them.
I think
for
Clemson
sure.
could beat
Yeah,
them.
they're playing better now.
All right. We got through those 2 awards. Here's a little trivia question for you for the week. We're going to go to the NFL in just a second. But in college football, how many undefeated teams are left in the SEC through 6 weeks? Can you name how many undefeated teams there are?
In the SEC?
Like overall record, not just like SEC record, like overall record.
Just one, Texas.
Texas is the only
Yeah.
one. Texas.
Everybody else has lost.
Through 6 weeks in the SEC, every single team in the SEC has lost at least one game. That's pretty wild.
Yep.
Through 6 weeks. And then I'll take it a step further. Can you name how many undefeated teams there are left in the country? I can give you an over-under if that makes it, because it's kind of hard to nail it on the head. I can say over-under 9.
I'm going to say there's I was going to say there's 8.
There's 11 left in the country.
Oh, yeah, but you got to think about Liberty.
Right,
had
Liberty's
lost.
undefeated. Yep. So there's,
Navy, Army. Yeah,
so
yeah,
there's
yeah.
my last trivia
Thinking of
question.
like the top 25, there's probably 7 or 8.
Can you tell me the last time both Army and Navy were 5-0 to start a season?
1912.
You're pretty 1945. I mean,
Okay.
pretty close. That's a good guess. We're finishing up World War II.
Yeah, I was
back
going
when
to go pre-World War World War One.
There was 9 teams in FBS at that point. Okay, a heck of a
That's
start
funny.
to the season for both those teams, and they've looked really good. I think Navy's much better, but okay. So we'll move on. We're gonna go to the NFL. Let's start with some main storylines before we get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we have to start with my Dallas Cowboys, who pulled off you could say a miracle at the end because nobody expected them to actually score once it got back to the 4-yard line. I sure didn't. But, I mean, they dominated the game, right? They outgained Pittsburgh by 221 yards.
Yeah.
2 yards per play, but 4 miscues. A Dak Prescott fumble, 2 interceptions. Two of those turnovers were inside the 20-yard line, and then a blocked 38-yard Brandon Aubrey field goal, which never happens. Basically, that was 4 turnovers, essentially, that 3 of which legitimately cost them at least 3, if not 7 points.
It shows you how inefficient and bad Pittsburgh really is.
They're horrible.
They basically won the turnover battle 3-0. It might as well have been 4-0 with the block.
Right.
And they lost the game. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's almost impossible to do
almost
in
impossible.
the NFL. Yeah.
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 I mean, you have to be
Almost
really, really
impossible.
bad.
To me, the big storyline of this game is, and I'm not a Cowboys fan, but it would be, I was rooting for them last night. It's good for football when the Cowboys are good, but I don't know what the hell they're going to do about this CD Lamb situation.
It's bad.
Prescott. Did you see the video of him talking shit to him on the sideline?
Yes.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. It's just uncalled for, and they got to figure it the fuck out. Like, CD Lamb is an idiot. You don't show up your quarterback like that on the sideline. And he's actually, like, Burrow, here's the difference. Burrow and Chase are best friends. So they get in, maybe, like, they could get into it occasionally with each other, but they're actually best friends. So it's like, they live right next to each other. So that's different. CD Lamb and Dak don't seem to like each other at all. And CD Lamb is the biggest prima donna, I mean, just diva wide receiver going in the league right now. I mean, he really is. He's even worse than Ayuk.
He is.
Ayuk even played well this week.
Yes.
So, finally, but he's been a big disappointment, obviously. And, wearing the wrong practice shorts. I don't know if you saw that. Shanahan's like,
didn't.
Dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, everybody's wearing black shorts, and he's out there in red shorts. He's like, why are you doing that? Just go put on the right shorts. And then, like, he takes the shorts out. Yeah, anyway, he, like, throws a fit. But regardless, CeeDee Lamb, they got to figure out something, and Mike McCarthy's got to they got to figure it out.
What do you do? Because like when you pay a guy,
just paid him.
When you
They're
pay him that
fucked.
much money, what do you do? Because you also just pay Dak Prescott that money, so you can't. It's like you can't really take a side, but you kind of have to because it's clear. And look, I'm not a Dak Prescott lover. Like I like Dak. I drafted him on my fantasy team over Josh Allen a couple years ago in a dynasty league purely because he's the Cowboys quarterback and I wanted to root for him every week. And I like him as a person, but he just disappoints me all the time. So I'm not over here like I think CeeDee Lamb is probably better up until this season. CeeDee Lamb is probably better at his position than Dak is at his position. But Dak's position is way more important. A. B. This year, it's not even comparable who's more valuable to the team. Basically, the last 2 games with really the last 3, the end of the Ravens game, the Giants game, and then last night, he just stopped throwing to CeeDee Lamb at the end of the game. I mean, he wasn't even in for some of the drives.
CeeDee Lamb was basically just, out there as a decoy, not even really running routes. He was just half-assing it. And, in the Ravens game, not to say that I get it, because you can't do it regardless, but the Ravens game, they were down a ton. They made it look respectable on the scoreboard at the end of the game, but they got killed that game. And then he's bitching on the sideline.
Yeah.
This game, they're either winning, they're like up 3 or down 1 score, and it's like crunch time, you need to go score.
Yeah.
Like, CeeDee Lamb acts like when Dak Prescott throws a pick, it's almost like he thinks it's, I don't know what the the guy thinks. Like, it's on him because he just acts like a lunatic. It's like, your quarterback threw a pick. What are you over there going, hey, you suck, whatever on the sideline, talking shit to your quarterback? I honestly never even really seen anything like it. Like, it just doesn't, like, even Davante Adams last year where they show in the show receiver where he's, like, clearly frustrated with how bad Jimmy Garoppolo is, like, he'll go off into space and be, like, upset that he threw another pick and he's not getting the ball.
Right.
But he realizes, like, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo's not that good and I'm being double-teamed every snap.
It's exactly right.
So, I mean, anyway, I don't know what they're going to do with CeeDee Lamb and Dak, but it's going to end in disaster.
What would you, I mean, I don't think you do this because of the age difference, but would you consider at this point right now, just with how bad his attitude's been, and it's not just like a one-off thing, right? Like this happened in the playoff game last year too. This happened against the Ravens. Like if I know it's early in this like developing situation, and it's obviously probably not irreconcilable, but do you consider trading CeeDee Lamb like for Davante Adams? Because I guarantee you the Raiders would do that.
Well, yeah, but
and
no.
you could probably get a pick back too.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what you could get back. I mean, yeah, if they would. I mean, apparently they're trying to trade Davante Adams and Crosby is almost like a package deal.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah, because if if you're going to get rid of Adams, there's no point in paying Crosby's contract and keeping him.
No, I
What is he
agree with
gonna
that.
do for
They
you?
should have traded him at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. So I'm not too sure.
I guess my question is, would you consider trading CeeDee Lamb right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. But he's hurting his trade. I mean,
sure.
His value is absolutely plummeted with the way he's acting on the sideline.
I agree with that for sure. But
someone would trade for him, obviously.
It's right.
But
he still was the number one receiver in the league last year in terms of statistics, right?
Yeah.
Like you would have to think that there's somebody willing to take that contract on who needs a receiver. Like you look at I don't know that the Chiefs could afford him, but they need a receiver. Like if anybody could think, we could turn that guy's attitude around and he plays with Mahomes, like something like that, I could see that happening.
For sure. No,
I don't know. They might not be able to afford it, but
I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's a bad situation.
If the Cowboys lose last night on that Rico Dowdle fumble, which if you didn't watch it, what was it, 2nd and goal on the 1 yard line? 2nd and goal on the 1 yard line, and they run let me give it to Rico Dowdle, the most inefficient back in the game. Dive into the end zone. He fumbles it back to the 4 yard line. Dak Prescott saves the game diving on the ball.
Yeah, they just lined up in an I formation, handing Rico Dowdle like it was going to work. I don't know what Mike McCarthy was thinking. I put most of the blame on Mike McCarthy for calling that play. And then Rico obviously has never done that in his life, but he sees good running backs on TV jump over the top and score a touchdown. So he envisioned that. And listen, you got to give a lot of credit to the Steelers guy for making the play, too. Just jumping over and selling out on it. He's like, they're not going play action here on 2nd down. I'm just going to fly over the line of scrimmage and try to make a play, which he did. So I just hate the play call from Mike McCarthy. I don't give it. If you're going to run it there, just give it to that fullback, whatever the hell his name is, that kid that had that catch.
Oh, yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, and he's more of a power. I mean, Rico Dowdle's
the worst running back in football. Starting running back. That's what I'm talking about. Starting.
Yeah.
He's averaging 30
like
yards
a fine
game.
number 2 running back. But yeah, the Cowboys, like your dad said, the dumbest thing ever, where it's like they have, they paid Zeke and whoever else, Zeke and somebody else. Zeke's $5 million, someone else $3 million, and Derrick Henry's making $8 million this year.
Unbelievable.
It's like, yeah, well, maybe you should have just spent all 8 on Derrick Henry.
Some teams can't afford that amount of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, Jerry Jones is an idiot. But
did you see him? He was so happy last night when they won. He was cheering like, "Oh my God, we're okay.
We're back.
We're gonna be just fine.
We're back.
Dak's gonna take us to the promised land. Yeah. All right. Yeah. You got a 9-inch dick. All right, let's move on now. All right.
That was a weird deal too. I saw him talking to who was he? I forgot.
He was talking to Jamie Foxx.
That's right. Yeah. What a weird.
Runs a 4.4. He's got a 6-inch and 9mm size hand and a 12-inch dick. So we'll move on now.
Good Lord.
Jets Vikings. I want to just touch on this game because I know the Jets are a hot topic in the NFL. Jets lose by 6 in London. Once again, their offense looks terrible. I turned the game on in the 4th quarter, and it was 17-10, I believe, or maybe it was 17-7.
Yeah.
Regardless, they had scored 10 points going into the 4th quarter. The entire game, they looked horrible offensively. They do rally in the 4th quarter. Garrett Wilson scores a touchdown, and the defense was able to hold the Vikings to a field goal, which made it a 6-point game and gave the Jets the ball back with a chance to win it. Rodgers actually started off with a decent drive, and I think they got down inside Vikings territory with like a minute to go or a little bit over a minute, and he throws his 3rd pick of the game. Rodgers looked horrible. I mean, this offense, I don't know if you saw this whole thing last week with Robert Saleh, and I just want your take on the Jets right now. But with Robert Saleh, where, because last week they had like 6 false start penalties, because so Robert Saleh comes out and he's like, yeah, we obviously have a cadence issue. And so, we'll have to figure that out. Maybe it includes, maybe we just can't handle that, right? Like too much. Basically saying like Aaron Rodgers is doing too much at the line. We have a cadence issue. Rodgers comes out 30 minutes later for his press conference and goes, they tell him what Robert Saleh said. He goes, yeah, that's one way to look at it. We could just stop doing that, or we could just learn to play football and snap the ball regularly, and we won't have those penalties.
Yeah, he said there weren't any problems earlier in the games before.
So Robert comes back out the next day, and he's like, we've never had any cadence issues. We're going to keep doing things the same way. Like complete opposite. It was just like, okay, we see who runs this team and wears the pants in this relationship. Where do the Jets go from here? Because it honestly, and I know you like Aaron Rodgers, and I don't dislike.
Well, he's just old.
Sure, but I'm just saying in terms of like it kind of feels, and I'm not trying to shit on Rodgers, but it kind of feels like he's holding this organization captive here. Like he's not good enough to be that that demanding anymore. Like, I'm keeping Nathaniel Hackett despite him being the worst offensive coordinator in the league, right? Like, this is how we're going to do things. Do you even, like, where do the Jets go from here? They're 2-3. They're playing the Bills on Monday night this week. They do not look like a Super Bowl contender whatsoever. The defense looks below average. You know, the offense looks horrific, like bottom of the league. Do you even consider trading for Devontae Adams? Are you trying to win a Super Bowl this year? Do you just say screw it and just let the season go? Like, what do you do?
I don't think they can let the season go because they paid Rodgers a decent amount of money and gave him who they wanted to, like, try to go and win the Super Bowl now, essentially. So they're not set up for the future at all.
I agree.
It's win now at all costs. So I do expect them to try to go get Adams because that's what Rodgers wants anyway. And he pretty much, like you said, gets exactly what he wants. That's why I'm adamant about telling you they're never going to fire Nathaniel Hackett because as long as Aaron Rodgers wants Nathaniel Hackett there, Nathaniel Hackett's going to be there. It's the same thing with, like, and I think, like you said, Saleh came out and was like, diffused the. I think Rodgers obviously at times can be hard to get along with, and especially head coach if he's not agreeing with him or whatever. So Robert Saleh's doing the smart thing, trying to keep him happy, and it's like the Jets haven't been good. So, but it really is to me, like you said, we're through 5 weeks now.
Yep, they
don't look good. Obviously, the offense isn't really producing at all. He's looked okay in certain flashes. I read here that he's dealing with a mild ankle sprain. Maybe that's why. I mean, I don't know
who Rodgers is.
And maybe that's why he's, obviously he hasn't been moving well anyway after the Achilles, and he's 40 years old. So I'm not just saying it's all that. But yeah, he definitely looks rusty. I think he admitted the other day that it takes a little bit longer for him, obviously, at this age to feel better after playing,
Sure.
And after getting hit by these guys. So I really don't know. I think that but to answer your question, I think they have to go for it. I don't think they have a choice. I mean,
right.
You can't, there's no punting on the season at this
Sure.
point.
Sure.
So you got 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers with absolutely nobody behind him, and you're, no matter what with him in that defense, they're going to win. Even if it's a bad season, right? They're going to probably win 7 or 8 games. Maybe 6 or 7, whatever. So you're not going to have like one of the first picks anyway. So you're not going to have a core. I mean, so it's pretty much make or break. They got to try to win their Super Bowl. Do I think they're going to? No, but they got to try.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm kind of looking back at their offensive performances here. Like the last 2 weeks, they've had under 300 yards. They had under 300 yards against the Titans in week 2. And under 300 yards against the 49ers week 1. The only game that they actually had over 300 yards of total offense was week 3 against the Patriots on Thursday night on a short week. So the offense really has been like horrific. And I agree with you. Like everything, I agree with everything you said. It's a really
and they can't run the ball right now, which is bizarre, like at all. Breece
Hall looks like
doing
he's
nothing.
Like, doesn't care. Like it's weird.
And even Allen's a good young back too, but even when he's in there, he's not really running for much.
No, he's not. I mean. And I think, honestly, if we're being honest, and I don't want to get too far in depth on this, but if you watch their offense, like what do really good offenses do, or really, that are effective? Lots of motion, lots of pre-snap motion, lots of play action, and diversity, like mixing up your calls. The Jets line up in a formation, motion nobody, and snap the ball, right? Like it's so obvious. It's a very simplistic. And I mean, if you didn't see this, I don't know if you did. Garrett Wilson even came out and said it, and Breece Hall, both of them were like, yeah, we've never seen an offense this simple. Like, it's just very, very, very basic. It's like what they said about Mike McCarthy when they came in and he had his offense. Like, it's just a very, very basic offense. And that's, I guess, what Rodgers wants. But to me, that's why Nathaniel Hackett is terrible. And that may have worked 10 years ago. It's not working today. And it's not going to work. And that's the problem.
Maybe 10 years ago, right, it would work because obviously the game's evolved, but because Aaron Rodgers was just that fucking good. But now he's 40 years old. So it's like he's maybe 60, 70% of what he once was, right? You don't have to account for the legs anymore, and that's something he did great. Go down, he can take off and run. So
absolutely. And it's like you would think, though, Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be this like very open-minded guy who likes to smoke ayahuasca, or I don't even know if you smoke ayahuasca. Do whatever, right? By the way, if you do ayahuasca and you trip and fall and hurt yourself, call Jeff Davis.
Call Jeff.
The 4s are here for you. 444-4444. Injured in a truck or motorcycle accident. Call the 4s. $200,000 settlements are given out like candy. Okay. back to the story though. But in all seriousness, like Rodgers, you would think at this point it's like, hey, let me just do whatever is required to win, because that's why he went to the Jets, right? If you just wanted to play out your career, just stay in Green Bay. It's where you've been. I know they wanted Jordan Love, but he acted like, nobody cares about my opinion here, and I want to win, and they don't want to win. It's like they're worried about the future. Man, you know what? Then if you're going to go somewhere else, you can't just say, like, I want this guy who's terrible because he's your friend, okay? Like, and I know we kind of joked about how that's like it's kind of funny a couple weeks ago, but I think it's costing them their season. I really do. Why would you not want a good, hot offensive coordinator in there who can help create some offense for you? It's baffling to me. I don't understand it.
I think it's mainly Rodgers just unwilling to learn a new offense and staying what he wants to do,
Sure.
I think that's more of what it is.
All right, let's do NFL good, bad, and the ugly. Okay.
Go ahead, lead us off.
You want me to lead us off? Okay, we'll start with the good. And I almost gave my gritty to this guy this week. Sorry, it was my Brooklyn. I forgot we made the name of Brooklyn. The Brooklyn / gritty. I almost gave it to him. And that's my boy, 36-year-old Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins,
Kirko Chains.
He came out on Thursday night. He's 36, coming off an Achilles tear, right? And he comes out and slings it for 509 and 4 touchdowns. Gets me 47 fantasy points, by the way. He was phenomenal. Brings the Falcons back. They were down late, and it was funny because he goes on Thursday Night Football afterwards, and they were like, Kirk, that was interesting because there was 12 seconds to go, and they decided with no timeouts to sling it over the middle on a slant to get in a little closer for field goal range and spike it. And he's like, usually we would do that. Ryan Fitzpatrick's like, we usually 13 seconds was the number.
Yeah.
And he's like, Kirk's like, yeah, on the sideline, we called everything was an out route to the sideline. And then we said, you know what? Screw it. Let's just throw a slant and go up there and spike it. I bet we can get it. And so he's like, so we did it. We threw it. We ran out there. We got it with 1 second. And he's like, it was cutting it close. I'm not going to lie, but they spiked it with 1 second. Young Hoku, who had missed 3 field goals that night, nailed it from 56. And then in overtime, this was really cool. And it's less about Kirk Cousins, even though he was awesome. He is the sole reason, without a doubt. And you can say what you want about Kirk Cousins. If you don't,
I love Kurt.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, people think he's a choker in the playoffs and whatever. But there's another quarterback that I really like, because you know what? I picked Kirk back when he was the backup to Robert Griffin, and I couldn't stand Robert Griffin, and I said Kirk is going to be a much better quarterback than RG3, and I was right. And Kirk's still playing in the NFL. But say what you want, the Falcons are 0-5 without Kirk Cousins this year. They're 0-5. They lose week 2, 100% without him. They lose last week. All 3 games, he led game-winning drives. All 3 games. He led them down the field to win the game. And he did it in overtime. They won the toss. They get the ball. They go straight down the field. And this was awesome. Did you see who scored this touchdown? Kadarrell Hodge.
Yeah.
He had been in the league 7 years, never or one touchdown his entire career. He's a special teams guy. And it was like almost like a divine moment. He caught a curl, and the corner just kind of went for the interception.
I thought he was going to pick it off. Yeah.
I thought he did pick it off.
Yeah.
He misses it. And then, like, there's like literally like a wave. It was like the parting of the Red Sea of like 5 Bucks defenders around him. And he just sprints through them all and scores. And it felt like a high school basketball half-court game winner where the crowd just erupts and the team mobs the guy. Like, it was such a cool, special moment. It felt awesome, like intimate. And they mobbed him, and then, like, in the locker room, he walks in, and they're going nuts with the water bottles. It was really cool. Heck of a moment. Heck of a game by Kirk Cousins. That's my
that was the best game of the year so far.
It was phenomenal.
It was wild.
Game.
Baker Mayfield played great, too. It was a good game.
Really good game.
My first goods, Washington Commanders, 4-1, baby.
Yep.
They look better and better. I mean, it's a combination of the Browns just being horrible, but, I mean, they played another solid game. Daniels had, let's see here, 236 touchdown and a pick, but he also ran it for 82 yards as well. So he threw a couple really nice deep balls. One to Scary Terry, and the other one, I don't know who caught that other one in the corner of the end zone, but
De'Ami Brown.
Yeah. So they look really good.
Yes, they do.
They look fun. It'll be interesting to see, with that offense. It's kind of, obviously it's Cliff's offense, so it's what he ran in Arizona, but I just think it's so much more dynamic with Daniels, because although Kyler can run, there's no doubt, and they don't want Daniels taking big hits, but Daniels can run, like, off the tackle, and, if he needs to take a hit. They were so worried about Kyler just getting him knocked unconscious because he's a little midget out there running around. But He's Kyler ran for a touchdown this week too. But anyway, yeah, Commanders looked really good. So
I will
4-1.
No, you're right. But Cliff Kingsbury, this is obvious. He absolutely went to coordinator rehab in the last couple of years, because this is not your grandma's air raid offense. This is a much more complex offense. They run the zone read. There's a lot of setup plays where it's short, deep. Like, it's actually a really good, really, well-constructed offense. And I think Cliff said in a press conference like last week, like, yeah, my couple years, was he away for 2 years or one? I can't remember. 1 or 2.
On
He's
the
like,
beach in Thailand.
Well, yeah, but he's
drawing up plays.
Yeah, among other things.
Still getting paid.
Among other things. He said staying, like, being away from football and being able to study and have time really helped me, like, develop new things and learn a lot. And I studied a lot of the really good NFL offensive coordinators and the key concepts. And it's shown. Kudos to him. Yeah. Also, Jaden Daniels' third game this year, he's led the team in rushing. So he's been phenomenal. I don't think he is a MVP candidate like Mike Florio was trying to say yesterday, but he's going to win the Rookie of the Year, barring like epic collapse here. He's looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you can say people trying to act like Caleb Williams is playing better. He's fucking horrible. They played the Panthers. They've had the easiest schedule in the NFL so far. Anyway, Jaden Daniels is awesome.
Caleb had a pretty good game this week.
He was not good. He had a good game this week against the Panthers defense, who might be the worst.
He had they made the Bears offensive line look good. I mean, he had all day to throw back.
All day.
Sure.
I mean, literally, if you watch, he had 5, 6, 7 seconds to throw the ball. Okay. My number 2 or third good. I'm gonna go with a guy you mentioned, or I guess a team you mentioned, the Cardinals and Kyler Murray. And I don't like Kyler Murray. I don't think he's great, but a combination of his play yesterday and the Cardinals defense led to a big upset of the 49ers, and it was a nice win for them. 19-30, a $195, a touchdown, 61 QBR. That's above average, which is good for Kyler Murray so far this year, right? Like, it was not a double XP weekend. He was not playing Call of Duty Saturday night, okay? He was studying that damn playbook.
New game doesn't come out till November usually.
That's right. That's right. So we got to wait till about Thanksgiving, and he'll start to plummet. No, but he played good, and kudos to the Cardinals in general, because they were down. They were kicking a field goal to tie it, 13-10. The Niners blocked it and returned it for a touchdown, and then tacked on a field goal going into halftime up 13. It just felt like they were going to run away with it, and Arizona battled back. Now, I will say, San Francisco's kicker got hurt, and they were unable to kick field goals at the end of the game, which hurt them.
That certainly didn't help them. They had to go for like a 4th and 28.
Yes.
And it was funny because it looked like they're like, hey, we're not going to get this, but it looked like they just
it's like a punt
took
almost.
A check down to Kittle, like, and got it down to the 10. They had to score and just like got it down to the 10. It was like a punt almost to get it down to the 10. So
yep.
My second good here, last one I got, Dougie Peterson and the Jaguars.
Oh,
Your dad's boy. Dylan likes to cut down Trevor Lawrence every chance he gets. He was 28 of 34 for 371 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Jags never quit. They have
they quit last week.
They have a lot of heart. 37-34. The defense did everything possible for them to lose that game. Flacco was slinging it around. I mean, dude, that game literally was funny. It was like your classic division game, and then it was smoking crack in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter was 24-17. There's 41 points
in an NFL game
in a fourth quarter. That's insane. Yeah. And not to mention, I think the Colts got it. Did they get it back one more time?
Oh yeah, I think they had a no. I think the Jags kicked a field goal at the very time end. Expired.
Yeah.
The Colts tied it though.
Oh, they did tie it. Yeah.
The Colts
back to back. Yeah.
They were down 14, scored back to back, and then it was like, oh, here we go. And then the Jags actually got in field goal range and kicked it and won.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
never say die, Jaguars.
Well, never say die, because I guess they want to keep Doug Peterson for one more week.
Now they head on the road to London. They're home away from home. We're going to win that game out there too.
Are you predicting the Jaguars make the playoffs?
No. But I think Doug might hold on to his job till week 10 or something.
I mean, I don't know why you'd keep him at this point, but I guess you're just going to give him a chance to dig out of this hole.
They're playing the Bears. There's no way Caleb Williams is going to London winning that. No way.
Oh, no, there's no way. But I will say, I'm upset with myself. Nick wanted to take the Commanders at first. I wanted to take the Jaguars somehow, but then neither of us could bring ourselves to do that. So then we decided between the Packers and the Chiefs, and the Packers won too. So all 3 of our Survivor League picks would have won, and now we took the Chiefs tonight. Hopefully, I'm not going to be very upset with myself for doing that, because now we need a win to get in the final 20. Anyway, okay, we'll move on to the bad here. And my first bad is going to be the Bills and Sean McDermott here. And look, Josh Allen was not good in this game. He was 9 of 30. It was the worst completion percentage of his career. But it wasn't the performance, really. Like, look, Josh Allen has nobody to throw to. The offensive line isn't great. But my problem with this is the end of the game, right?
Oh, yeah.
The end of the game management. So they come back, right? They were down the whole game. They come back and tie it at 20. And they get the ball back with 32 seconds. They're on like the 5-yard line. I was the 3-yard line. It was on the 3-yard line. Their own 3-yard line. Now, I will say the Texans did have all 3 timeouts. But you run the ball there. You run the ball, and you, especially that deep in your own end zone, or you throw a really simple pass, right? Like something easy. If you want to throw, I'm not like, because they had all 3 timeouts left, if you wanted to like try a throw or something on second down, or like
that's crazy though, just because like the potential of a hold and stuff, everything about it was nuts. Yeah.
I think what you should have done is you run on first, you run on second, you make them burn both timeouts, you run 10 to 11 seconds off the clock. There was 32 seconds when they got it. Now you run it down to 21. There's about 20 seconds to go. They have 1 timeout. Even at that point, you could run it again for 5 seconds. With the punt, you punt it. As long as you get it to like the 50, there's maybe 10 to 12 seconds to go, and they have no timeouts left, right? Even if you do that, it's going to be tough. You got to get in field goal range and spike it or throw it out of bounds. It's going to be really tough for the Texans. But they didn't just throw it. They threw it down the field, a bomb on first down, a deep shot on second down, and then basically almost got sacked on third down, and he had to throw it away. They ran it down. I think the Texans got it back with 16 seconds, all 3 timeouts. So they had the whole field to work with. They needed like 10 yards, and that's all they needed. That's what they got. And they got in field goal range. The mismanagement of the end of that game cost them a win that they could have stolen.
Well, for sure. It definitely, I mean, I don't know if it cost them a win, but it certainly cost them a loss, because I mean they just lost the game. Who knows what would happen in overtime? But
I'm saying shot at a win.
Scott Hansen, apparently that's the guy that does the red zone, was apparently losing his. I didn't see it, but they were like loses his mind on questionable Bills decisions. Like, what are they doing? Apparently, doesn't usually do that, but was losing his mind about it. Yeah,
is he a Bills fan?
I don't know, but he was not happy about it. Apparently, I mean, that is really, really dumb.
That's Sean McDermott. Like, there's no way Joe Brady's like, yeah, we're gonna take shots here. Like, it's like I think he told him, hey, be aggressive here because we need to get a first down. Yeah. Like, I just don't understand that. That was so dumb. And the Texans, Stroud did not play great. He was good. He had some good balls. And I know Nico Collins went out, and I know they already have some injuries in that receivers, and he wasn't bad, but he's the reason they got back in the game. He fumbled, he threw an interception.
Yeah.
Like, they got back in the game because he turned the ball over, and he wasn't playing great. And Josh Allen, despite 9 of 30, they had a chance to win the game, and Sean McDermott shit it away.
Yeah, this could certainly be bad or ugly, but my first bad is just going to be the Browns. They're just flat out. Yeah. They're flat out bad. I mean, they're bad. They need Chubb back in a big way, and they have to throw Jameis Winston in there.
Have to.
He's the only, he's crazy enough, giving the pregame speeches, leader him in, eating W's out there on the field, that they could legitimately, because the defense on paper is not bad. They were a good defense last year. So, I mean, they're just getting killed, and Deshaun Watson looks uninterested, looks like he does not give a shit, and he is horrible. He does the same shit every time. He drops back pass on third down. They bring a blitz, and he acts like he did when he was 5 years younger at the Texans, where he could actually get out of it and run for a first down. Now he can't.
Yep.
That's back in his massage parlor days. He was a little lighter back then.
Yep.
Not now. Okay? Not now. He's,
Has he put on some weight since then?
Yeah. He needs to either revisit the parlors or figure something out. But the Browns have got to start Jameis Winston. I know, obviously, we talked about it. It's backlash from the owner. The owner pays him this amount of money. He's not ready to give up. Give up on him. It's over. The experiment's over. Just get rid of him and move on. If I'm the owner and I'm paying him $300, I'll drop him. I'll create one in my own backyard. We'll get something going for him. But if not, it's time to quit on the guy. I mean, he's just I've never seen someone just look so distant, get sacked, just take his chin strap out, walk over to the sideline. I mean, it was like very Jay Cutler-esque, but at least Jay Cutler would let the ball go, okay? Smoking Jay.
He's Smoking Jay's the legend. How dare you talk bad about Smoking Jay?
I love Smoking Jay.
Dude, Deshaun Watson is so bad.
His QBR was like 8 this week.
I was about to say that. Yes. His QBR was 8. His QBR was 8. He's not thrown for over 200 yards the entire season, not one game. He was 15 for 28 for 125 yards with a QBR of 8. The average QBR in the NFL is 50. That's average. So an average quarterback rating is 50. His highest of the season is 40.2, right? Famous Jameis is a leader of men. Like you said, you put him in the game here. He will eat dubs, okay? He will rally the troops. He will get things turned around just like good old Joe Flacco did last year for the Browns, okay? You put Jameis in the game.
W's.
He's eating W's, all right? No, but seriously, it looks like Watson's career is over. Like, he is last in the league in QBR. He really is. He's behind Will Levis by 6 points.
No, yeah, it's bad.
Caleb Williams is second to last, or third to last. Will Levis is second to last, and Deshaun Watson is last. Those are the worst 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. Although I would argue Bo Nix and Justin Fields are up there too. But regardless,
I think I think at this point it's Deshaun Watson's a runaway for worse because Will Levis does some absolute bonehead shit, but at least he like throws the ball. Like Deshaun Watson just holds the ball and gets sacked every play.
I agree.
Which I'd rather just him throw a pick and be like, you know what? At least he got rid of it. Threw it. I mean, I don't know. But the Browns, to be a Browns fan coming in this year, it's got to be just demoralizing. They're real bad.
Oh my god!
I picked those assholes to win the division, I think.
You did.
Yeah.
Well, I picked the Bengals, so it's not like I'm doing much better. Like
either way.
And now I think the Ravens are somehow back on top of that division after starting 0-2 because the Steelers lost last night.
Yeah.
I did predict the Steelers were going to lose 3 straight. Okay. Do I have another bad here? I can do another bad here. Let's go. I was going to do the New York Jets, but let's go to Seattle. You know, Seattle's defense, I was really impressed with them as a whole through 3 weeks. Mike McDaniel, new head coach, he looked really good. The defense was great through 3 weeks. Now, they didn't play anybody, and they finally played an offense with a pulse 2 weeks ago. Played the Lions, gave up 42 points. That Lions offense put up, I believe, over 500 yards. Okay, you're playing the Lions. You're on the road. It's a standalone game. Like, you had some injuries, too. They had a bunch of injuries. I'll give you a pass. They play the Giants at home this week. They play Danny Dimes at home. You have 420 yards of total offense, 6 yards per play. And Danny Dimes threw for 257 yards and 2 touchdowns. Best game of the year. 29 points to that terrible offense is pathetic. And it's a terrible loss for Seattle because they start 3-0. They look like really good. You understand the loss last week to Detroit. You win this one, you're 4-1. You're in a great spot. Instead, you lose. You're now 3-2, and you have to take on San Francisco, who's coming off of a loss this week. I mean, now you're very likely 3-3 through 6 games, and it's a disaster after a great start. So they're definitely a bad for me. I just think you can't lose that game to New York. And really, if you watch the game, they were lucky to even have a shot to tie it at the end. Because at the very beginning of the game, the Giants had a 4th and goal at like the 1-inch line, and it clearly looked like the running back scored, and they let the ball got fumbled after he scored, and they didn't rule anything, and they returned it for a touchdown, and they reviewed it and said it stood. So it was a 14-point swing on the first series of the game, and still they ended up losing the game by 9. So I just think terrible loss by the Seahawks. Terrible loss by the Seahawks.
Yeah, they lose like that at home to the Giants.
If you have another bad...
I don't. I got an ugly. In my ugly, starting with the uglies, you touched on it a little bit because you talked about the game. It was just the Jets offense. It's awful.
Horrible.
I mean, Rodgers threw it 54 times for 244. He threw 2 touchdowns, but one was on a drive where they literally ran the punt. I think it's like right before halftime, they got it inside the 40 and then scored on the 3rd and 10 that was, he did step on the pocket and make a play, but for whatever reason, Minnesota on that play, I remember watching it, brought 3, which it hadn't done all day, and someone finally found a hole and open, but he threw 3 interceptions, like you said, somehow had a chance late to even win that game, and threw a bad pass to Garrett Wilson and got picked off. So I'm with you. They're going to have to do something with that offense, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think they should get rid of Nathaniel Hackett, but they're not because Aaron Rodgers isn't going to do anything else, and it's Aaron Rodgers' way or the highway. But it's not working, so they're going to have to figure something else out, or he's going to have to get a lot sharper. And but regardless, they're going to have to be able to run the ball.
Sure.
Like Breece Hall had 9 carries for 23 yards.
That's ridiculous.
And that was their leading rusher.
How many what did Allen have?
Probably like, I didn't see the full box, probably like 7 for 20. I mean, I don't know.
He really had 9 carries the entire game.
5 for 13. 5 for 13.
And like, I want to say the week before that, it was something like 5 carries for 4 yards.
Yeah.
Like it was
and
almost,
the crazy
it was
thing
worse.
about it, he had 1 10-yard carry. So you take that away, he was 8 carries for 13 yards.
Yeah, and
I mean, they just can't run the ball.
And Braylon Allen had 5 carries for 13 yards. So they each averaged 2.6 yards per
So
carry.
you know these teams are obviously loading the box and saying, okay, Rodgers, you're going to have to beat us these days, and he just can't.
Well, it comes back to what I talked about earlier, which is you are predictable in what you're doing. Like, nobody should be that bad running the ball in the NFL when you have a competent quarterback, right? Which you could say Rodgers isn't great anymore, but he's a competent quarterback, and you absolutely have weapons, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, okay, either the offensive line is the worst I've ever seen, it's on my eye test tells me that's not the case. My eye test tells me they know when you're running the ball 90% of the time because you line up in the exact formations and show predictable formations that on film are the same things over and over and over. And that was Nathaniel Hackett's problem in Denver. Very, very predictable, simple offense, just like we talked about earlier. I completely agree with you. This is pathetic. And I wonder if let's say they have a terrible offensive performance against the Bills this week and they lose, and now they're 2-4. They lose the tiebreaker to the Bills. The Bills are 4-2. Now what? I mean, this is a huge game because if they win it, they're 3-3, and everybody's going to be like, okay, they could still win the division. But 2-4 versus 4-2,
especially with the Dolphins just out
right?
Basically, yeah.
And they're really fortunate that the fact that the Dolphins are out of it and the Patriots suck. So
although the Dolphins are only 1 win behind them right now,
they are. But I just don't see Tua coming back.
No, well, he might, but and then also at that game, Darnold kind of looked like his old self. Jets defense looked pretty good, but he was 14 for 31 for only 179 yards.
And an interception, and it was a bad interception.
QBR and 19.
Yeah, and if you look at, like, scoring-wise, one of the touchdowns was a pick 6, so the offense had 1 touchdown and a couple field goals, right? Like, they didn't do much.
Nope.
Van Ginkel scored a touchdown for them. They picked – you win the turnover battle by 3-0, or I guess it's 3-1. You should win the game easily, and they only won by 6. But I agree. That's going to be a really interesting game, and we'll get into that preview on the Pick'em Show Monday night next week.
And that's all I got for ugly, so knock out what you got.
Well, I have 2. I'll go with my first one, which is, and I was on this betting yesterday, the Cincinnati Bengals, and specifically Zach Taylor and the defense. So let's start with...
the defense is definitely ugly.
Let's start with the defense.
Yeah.
The defense is the ugliest thing I saw this week, right? Like,
they're terrible.
Lou Anarumo. I don't know what Lou Anarumo, who, if you don't know who that is, that's the defensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know what Lou has on Zach Taylor or on the ownership of the Bengals. He must have HD crystal clear video of the Zach Taylor disposing of a dead body, because the fact that the guy has kept his job after the last 3 defensive performances, and this morning I look and I'm waiting for an ESPN alert that says Lou Anarumo has been fired. After the game, he is like reminding Zach Taylor, like, here's an iMessage in the group chat with him and the ownership of those 3 guys taking out a dead body and throwing it into a dumpster, because there's no other explanation for how the guy has kept his job. Okay, it's that or them walking into one of Robert Kraft's massage parlors. There's the only explanations, right? Like, they don't want to deal with the repercussions. We'll just lose. Because if you watched the game yesterday, it was absolutely pathetic. And I'm going to give you some stats here that just are absolutely baffling. This is one of the worst. They're on pace to be a historically bad defense. So they played the Ravens 3 weeks ago. The Ravens they played Ravens yesterday. The Ravens had 520 yards of total offense. They were 10 of 15 on third down and scored 41 points and had 30 first downs. The Panthers, they played the Panthers, the worst offense in football 2 weeks ago. 400 yards of total offense, 7 for 14 on third down, 24 points. And they weren't like garbage time points. They scored all those points in the first 3 quarters.
Well, they won the game.
No, Panthers lost.
Oh, that's right.
But it was 24-34 and it was a close game. 3 weeks ago, the Commanders did not punt the ball the entire game.
Nope.
Not one punt. 356 yards of total offense, 5 of 9 on third down, 3 of 3 on fourth down. and gave up 38 points. The last 3 weeks, they're giving up 415 yards per game, 35 points per game, and opponents are converting 60% of third downs and 75% of fourth downs. It is a historically bad defense. Lou Anarumo keeping his job is pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And then let's get to Zach Taylor, who isn't as bad as Lou Anarumo, but he's a close second. You are playing the Baltimore Ravens. All right, you have the ball, and I looked back at it. I don't blame Joe Burrow. He shouldn't have thrown the pick, right? That sucks. He had 5 touchdowns and 396 yards.
He had a great game.
He was awesome. He had one bad throw the whole game, and Joe is I believe it said there that he's the 8th quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 375 yards and 5 touchdowns and not win. It just doesn't happen very often. He was incredible, and they were up 10 in the fourth quarter, and conservative play calling when they got the ball back multiple times killed them. Well, after Joe throws the pick and Justin Tucker somehow bangs home a 56-yard field goal despite being 0 for 3 on 50-plus this year, goes to overtime, right? Ravens win the toss. Lamar Jackson fumbles the ball. He fumbles the ball. The Bengals pick the ball up, and they recover it at the Ravens' 35-yard line. You have a really solid kicker, but it is a windy day. Yep. You could see when Tucker kicked his field goal to tie the game, he literally kicked it left because he knew the wind was going to take it back right. The goalposts were shaking, right? And instead of trying to get more yards and make it a 30, 40-yard field goal where Joe Burrow had thrown for almost 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, and I understand he threw a pick on that last drive, but instead of trying to throw the ball or at least mixing it up, they go run up the middle on first down, run up the middle on second down, run up the middle on third down, lost a total of 1 yard, and then played for a 53-yard field goal. And then they sent out a rookie undrafted free agent to be the holder, and he dropped the ball. He dropped the ball on the field goal attempt, and I'll put it on the screen, and the kid, McPherson, had no chance. It was wide right. And the next play, of course, Lou Anarumo's defense gets ripped by Derrick Henry for a 60-yard run, and they kick a field goal and win the game by 3. The entire staff needs to be gutted, and I know I've ranted a long time about this team, but I have to, okay? This was the most disgusting display of football of a loss I've ever seen, and yes, I was on the Bengals plus 2.5. Spoiler, okay? I cannot believe they lost that game. I've been trying not to curse on this show. I've said 5
my
times
brother,
in this segment.
My brother said that. He goes, Dylan keeps saying he's trying not to curse, but he's cursing more.
No, I'm cursing less. I swear. Even Brad Zito told me I'm doing a good job. I'm not cursing as much. No, you, okay? I'm not cursing. And I've been beeping some of the out. All right, you're making me say it too much. All right, let's. Not the point. The Bengals suck. All right, that's my ugly. All right, that's all I'm trying to say. They're horrible. All right.
They get the Giants and the Browns next. If they can't win both those games, he'll get fired.
I don't know how he has a job right now. I don't. Here's my second ugly, and I'll keep this one shorter.
Well, he should have just fired. That's what you always do as a defense. As a head coach, to save face, you always fire the DC. Come on. It's head coach 101. You're getting your ass kicked, scoring a lot of points. You fire defensive coordinator.
It's his fault.
Problem. We scored 30-something points. He gave up 40. It's his fault.
How has he not done that?
I don't know. I must like him.
What? No.
Oh, yeah. He's got pictures of a dead body.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's got... It's 100%. He's got pictures of them disposing of a dead body, or maybe video of them shooting a guy.
He was at one of Diddy's parties.
That's possible. Okay, my second ugly, I'll keep this shorter. Antonio Pierce. Okay, Antonio Pierce and the Raiders.
Great coach, leader of men.
No, not a leader of men. They f***ed up hiring. Gosh dang it, they messed up hiring. The Raiders. They messed up hiring the Raiders. No, now it's in my head. I haven't been doing it.
I told my niece the other day, too, because she's not allowed to watch the show because of cursing and, some other stuff, but mainly because of cursing. And I've convinced them that you and your dad make me curse on this show.
Oh, you had such garbage. You are such a little snake.
I love it.
I swear.
My brother just cracks up.
You are the biggest snake, I swear.
Yep. They told me I can't be on the show if I don't say those words. Yes. Well, you're going to have to quit then. I might have to. They keep forcing me to say those things.
I think you make me curse because you get under my skin here. Okay. You and my dad. All right.
They make me curse.
Hey, my mom came in the other day and was like, "Oh my God, it's been a month. You guys still have not said a mean thing to each other." Literally.
You and your dad haven't?
Yeah, it's been a full month.
Oh yeah, he was about that one was almost broken yesterday because you were losing your mind.
He didn't do it.
Broncos Raiders game.
He didn't do it. Yeah. All right. Well, it was rightfully so. It should have been 17-0. Losing that teaser was brutal. Okay. But the Raiders on the story of that game, okay, Antonio Pierce, just the defense gave up. Like, I know you like him, or you liked him last year and said they should hire him, which I agreed with, kind of.
Yeah.
But
no. I mean, yeah, they were playing hard for him, but now they're
not playing hard for him. They gave up yesterday.
You know what's so weird about it, though, and we touched on this for a bit, what didn't make sense to me is, so, like, they're 2-2, which for the Raiders, like, that's pretty good. And then, like, next thing you know, I'm hearing, talks about them just getting rid, trading Adams and Crosby. So I'm like, this is so weird how it's like, and Crosby was the one, like, on record that was like, I'm not playing for the Raiders unless Antonio Pierce is the coach.
Yeah.
Like, both those guys said it. So they like him. And I don't think anything's really gone south, but I don't know. Maybe they just thought that Gardner Minshew was going to be the answer to their problems. I don't know. Clearly not, but
I also think
he's better than Aiden McConnell, but not much.
I think Minshew was terrible, right? Like, they were up 10-0, and they had a 1st and goal at the 3, and he throws a pick 6, right? That flipped the whole game. It was about to be 17-0. Well, still, as bad as that interception was, he was getting no time to throw. Devontae Adams was not playing in that game. And I don't understand why it was a 10-point game when they pulled him. I just didn't understand that. Like, so it was a 10-point game. They put O'Connell in. They lose 20 yards on his first drive, and he throws a pick on the second drive, and you blink, and they're down 24. So it was like bad move after bad move. He was calling timeouts to get the ball back in a tie game before halftime. Then they punted to them, and they ran the ball 3 times and punted it back and gave Denver a field goal before halftime. Denver missed the field goal before halftime, and they had a leaping penalty. Like, it was just mistake after mistake, undisciplined football. It was ugly. It was ugly to watch that team yesterday. And they should trade Devontae Adams and Max Crosby now, because they should have done it at the beginning of the season, and Antonio Pierce is not the answer. And I don't know what they're thinking there with Gardner Minshew. I mean, you signed Jimmy Garoppolo, now you signed Gardner Minshew. You're just staying in limbo of this place where you're just like going to be a borderline bad team, but you're not tanking, and you're just going to get a middle-of-the-road draft pick. Like, they should have just tanked, traded everybody, got a quarterback, and moved on. Like, that's what you do. And I don't know what's
apparently they got wamboozled when the Falcons took Penix. Apparently the whole time they were going to take Penix.
Really?
That's who they were. And then he was gone. They're like, what the hell? Like, no one on earth expected the Falcons to take him. So they were just as shocked as everybody else probably. Sure. And they're like, okay, well, now what?
Sure.
Now you got Gardner Minshew and the season's over. So, a couple things before we move on to college football. Shout out our biggest fans, the Thundercats, Jeremiah's Little League soccer team, had a big game this week against a team that was saying that they were going to beat them, telling people in the league office they were going to beat them.
Calling their shot.
7-0 Thundercats win.
Oh, my
absolute
goodness.
dominance.
Were they talking trash?
Absolute dominance. They were talking a little trash. Thundercats win with class, obviously, coached by my brother and Coach Troy. Very classy coaches. The way they're set up for success out on the field. Great team. Have not allowed a goal yet this year. They're going for the immaculate season. 10 wins, no goals allowed.
How many goals have they scored?
Lots.
Like,
they win like every game like 10-0.
So they embarrassed the other little kids.
Listen,
I'm not saying it in a bad way.
The league. People are wanting to split them up because they're this good. And
that's unfair.
Yeah. And Coach Troy and Jeremiah are like, listen, the team's the same age as everybody else. There's not many older kids, same age. They just coach them up. They run a very good scheme over there.
Tight ship.
They run a tight ship. The formation's very good. And then also shout out to my niece Presley, who's the district champ for cross country.
All right.
Domination. Won it by it's a 2-mile race. Won it by 30 seconds or something like that.
Wow, that's a big win.
Yeah.
How
pure domination.
Is she allowed to watch the show?
I don't know. She's the one that told everybody what it is because Trey wasn't supposed to, but tells her. And then, like, all these little kids are like, I've seen your show on YouTube, like, in Bernie. I'm not kidding. I'm like, you shouldn't be watching that.
You are
my buddy Dylan.
I
said, definitely not. But I said, my buddy Dylan has a bad mouth. You shouldn't be watching the show. I do.
I bet you do say that. You're such a snake. You literally.
I tell all the kids, yep, there's a big dog and Dylan say a lot of bad words on that show.
Anything to deflect from the blame.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
You little oily snake over there. Okay.
Bad mouse.
I'm going
bad
to.
mouse.
I'm over here. I'm the guy who takes the fall for everything. I'll be like, no, I'm the one. I'm the bad one, even when it's somebody else. But Turner just blames me for everything.
Yeah, it's only me. It's only 10-year-old kids in Bernie that think that. It's not that big of a deal. But when they come up to me and they're like 10, then like, yep, that's him. She's like, I know. I've heard those words he says. I'm like, oh yeah.
No, they don't. Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah. Do you have any highlights of the Thundercats, by the way, that we can throw?
Yeah, probably. And probably get Jeremiah. We can probably get it on video.
I would like to. Well, I got the video of the celebration, but I'd like some highlights.
Oh yeah, he said, "Don't put that. Please don't put that."
Oh no, that's going on 100%.
How we celebrate wins.
That's 100% going on there.
That was interesting.
That's going on there, but I also need some highlights. Okay?
Yeah, to get Maddie scoring some goals. But
That's right.
they dominating performance.
Okay. Before we move on to the college football realm, we're gonna do WNBA or not real quick.
Yeah. My game.
And
guarantee 3 out of 5 this week.
Oh man, that's a
Charles Barkley guarantee.
I like the positivity. Okay, I like the positive thinking.
Guarantee.
You went 5 for 5 2 weeks ago, but you did not have a good week last week.
Yeah, 2 out of 5. WNBA or not.
WNBA or not. We've got number 1. Let me full screen it for you. Can you see it, Bailey? Okay, number 1. Is this a WNBA player or not?
I'm going to say it's a rapper, not a WNBA player. Final answer.
0 for 1. Now he's in the hole here. Off to a rough start. You know who that is? I can't believe you didn't get this one. Think about it. Think about who we talked about the other day.
Mustard?
Mustard Carrington. I call her Mustard. Her name is Jeanty Carrington, but I call her Mustard Carrington.
Damn it.
She is not very good, but she's got some mustard to her game, some spice to her game. And Jeanty is
0 for 1.
a WNBA player. 0 for 1.
Thought it was a rapper.
All right. This is now this one just became big because if you miss this, you're gonna have to go perfect to the end.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm probably gonna be in rough shape.
Okay. Number 2.
I was due to fail and dude, this is God, here we go. Zoom in. This is such bullshit. I think Dylan changed like what's on her shirt.
I swear to God, I screenshotted all of these. I did this I wanted to go to bed early last night so I could get up earlier and work on my costume for the day, which by the way, I hope you guys like. But no, I did not edit anything. I spent very little time on this.
WNBA player.
0 for 2, baby. 0 for 2.
God.
That is Lynn Williams. She is a USA soccer player, so she is not a WNBA player. So now you have to go 3 for 3 here.
Son of a bitch. I get this. That's what I get for giving the Charles Barkley
You're
guarantee.
going to go 0 for 5.
Yeah.
You're going to go
for
0 for
sure.
5. Okay. Is this a WNBA player or not? WNBA player.
My mind's in an absolute blender right now. That is a WNBA player.
All right, you got that one. That's good.
Thank
Yes.
God. I'm still alive. Didn't go over.
That is Queen Egbo.
I knew her. Yep. I knew Queen. Queen
Egbo is a WNBA player. Okay.
Oh my God. He's
right.
got a chance to come back here.
All
This
right,
would be epic if I get the next 2.
It is. All right. We need to have this make for good TV. You need to get this one. I'm rooting for you to get this one. Is this a WNBA player or not? Number 4. Remember, trust your gut. I shouldn't give you any hints.
Okay.
Go through your process.
My gut says this is such a weird. So it's such a weird. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to say it's a professional athlete for sure, like a women's professional athlete. I'm going to say it's a WNBA player, but the reason I'm going to say that is it's such a weird shot that she's walking out of the hotel room, and this is the team's social media taking a picture of them on the road somewhere. WNBA player.
You got it. That's good.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's just such a random, like, she's walking out of a hotel, like, and it's not an actress or anything like that I recognize, and she's dressed like a WNBA player would be.
I honestly did not put that much depth into it. I just snapshotted this off of Instagram.
Listen, dude, I'm trying to get there, and just some weird, like,
when you logic that out, that was pretty good. I gotta hand you that.
It was, like I said, it was for sure a women's professional athlete. I was just hoping WNBA. So
I thought you were gonna say it's a women's professional athlete, but it's not a WNBA player. But you got it.
Went for it. Who is it?
All right, that is Marina Mabry of the Connecticut Sun.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was traded from the Chicago Sky, your Chicago Sky, early in the
Chicago
year.
Sky. Oh, yeah. Portnoy was bitching about Herbie. She went off in the series or something, and she's like not even that good, apparently.
She sucks.
And he was like, how funny is it that if the Sky weren't such a cluster that this girl wouldn't have been traded and we probably would have won the series or something like that? I don't know.
No, yeah, she hit like a ton of threes in that series. That, by the way, Lynx and Connecticut Sun gonna
Can't
play
wait.
a game 5.
Can't wait.
Okay.
Is that tonight?
No, I think it's I don't know.
I'll be locked in. Regardless, I'll be locked
You're
in.
gonna watch it with us?
No. God, no. I mean, if there's other sports on, we have it on one of the side TVs, maybe.
Well, I'm gonna make you.
Oh,
watch
we got baseball today starting at... What time baseball starts?
Are you watching? Are we watching Monday Night Football tonight?
Yeah, today at 3. Tigers, Engines. Oh, you can't say Indians anymore. I mean, Tigers, Guardians. I said Engines. Tigers,
All right.
Engines. This is a bullshit one here a lot. This is... I mean, what am I supposed to do with this, Bailey? I kind of want to get Bailey's facial... that's what I'm trying to read him. Zoom in. I need to see what's in the background of the mirror.
What the Come on.
I mean, dude, I'm trying to win this.
All right.
And you were late. This seems lazy. This is the bot's job here. Let me tell you about this, Bailey. He got lazy, and he went to bed he wanted to go to bed last night. And he wants me so badly to say this is a WNBA player. But it's f***ing not. It's an actress. Final answer.
You got it.
He's done it. The greatest WNBA player not in the world. 0-2 to 3-5.
What a comeback.
Oh my God. Big dog would say that's some big brain shit right there.
That's pretty good.
Is that an actress of some sort?
No, it's not an actress.
Whatever.
So
Close enough.
You didn't get that part, but you damn sure reasoned it out, and it was late, and I needed one more
Lazy.
left. And
White girl. He was like, I'm gonna trick him with this one. His gut's gonna say no, but he's gonna say yes. Nope.
Well, here's what you're wrong about how this went down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's what actually happened. If you let me finish my thought.
No, my thought process is all I need.
Okay, it
winter.
was late last night, and I was falling asleep doing this, and I had 4. I had 2 yes, 2 no. Or sorry, 3 yes, 1 no. And so I knew this had to be a no. I had to find one more WNBA or not. I had to find a non-WNBA player who could pass for a WNBA player. It's harder than you think. And so I fell asleep and did not do it. So we got here, and I was like, oh shit, I need another one. And so I thought, you know what? Let me look up another athlete. So I looked up LPGA women.
Oh, well, yeah, she might as well be an actress.
And
it's not a real sport.
And this lady's name was Paula Creamer, Creamer, and I just liked the last name.
I know that name. Yeah.
Yeah, Paula Creamer. And
Okay.
so she was white. And I figured if I just gave you like an Asian-looking person who's an actual golfer.
First of all, there are not a lot of Asians in the WNBA, brother.
No, I know. Yes, but that's not my point.
Yeah.
If I gave you an Asian person from the LPGA, you would be able to figure out that it wasn't.
Well, since we're about to be WNBA offseason, we can go LPGA or not coming up.
It's a good point.
We can mix that in.
I don't know. People like WNBA or not. I've been told that's their favorite segment of this show. But
it's tough being up here on an island guessing.
As the creator of WNBA or not, I can say it's my favorite part of the show as well.
WNBA or not.
Okay, let's move on to some college football. And we'll start with the top storyline of the week. It's why I'm wearing the costume. 40-35, the legendary upset.
Bailey, why don't you come say a few words? He refuses to get on camera. He won't say anything. Refuses to get on camera.
He's shaking his head.
Can you write out a message that I can read to the people? Do you have anything to say? You have to. This is the biggest win, Bailey, of your lifetime.
You want to come over and give a speech into the microphone?
No, he won't. He won't talk on camera, but maybe he'll message me a message that for the people.
He said he never thought he'd see the day. He did text. We were texting yesterday.
Did you cry after the win, Bailey? Yeah.
No way.
I knew it.
No way.
Jeremiah's gonna love it.
True fan right there.
Cried after the win.
He said, I can't.
Oh, dude, it was actually honestly, I forgot how perfect of a day it was. Tennessee lost to Arkansas.
I know, dude.
It was like that was like heaven on earth for Bailey for 8 hours. He got the double.
What's crazy, I don't know if you saw. Oh, you did, because we were texting about it. Nico, whatever his name is, it was the last play of the game, and he ran out of bounds. He ran out of bounds with the game on the line. I mean, you had to be just jumping for joy.
Oh, baby, I forgot we're starting the Tuesday night games tomorrow.
Action?
No, even better. Conference USA.
Let's go. Let's go.
From Lynchburg, Virginia, Bailey's Liberty Flames.
Oh, gosh.
Take on Florida International. Bailey, I'm going to tell you this right now. Shout out, obviously, of course, Sam Houston State. They love our show. We love them. Big win over the Miners. They didn't come out sleepwalking this week. Smoked them. And I think, little preview, I think Conference USA is going to come down to the last game of the year in Huntsville. Liberty versus Sam Houston State play the last day on the schedule. I think it's going to come down to that one.
Wow. That's a bold prediction right there.
Now, because if you look, Liberty should get there undefeated or one loss.
I think Liberty's. I've watched them play. I would be shocked if they don't have one loss. I know that
they're not that. That's what I'm saying.
Good.
They're down this year
They're
for
very
sure.
down.
Yeah. So Sam Houston State's big game coming up is off the bye. They get Western Kentucky, who's a decent team.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah.
I'm looking at their schedule. FIU's down. Louisiana Tech is very down. Kennesaw State's terrible. Jacksonville State, I have no idea. And then Liberty. Yeah, dude, honestly, they probably, if they can get past Western Kentucky, and it's nice that that's at home, they
got a shot.
They have a shot for sure to get there 11-1.
But even then, keep in mind, even if they did get into Liberty with one loss, and
they'll
then
play
won
in the
that
championship.
Head-to-head. I mean, yeah.
But they play a championship game, right?
I believe so.
So even if, let's just say, this is actually probably their biggest game if you think about it, because
Western? Oh,
yeah,
for sure,
because Western Kentucky's 3-2 overall. They're 1-0 in conference. They're probably the third best team. If they beat them, they have that head-to-head. And even if they get there with 2 losses, they probably get to the championship game at that point, win or lose against Liberty if they beat Western Kentucky this week.
Oh, here's a crazy thing for you. FBI, the matchup predictor, which I don't put a ton of thought into, but the computer matchup, Sam Houston State at home versus Liberty, Sam Houston State 67% chance.
Yeah, no, I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how down I believe Liberty is.
Yeah.
Liberty should have lost to East Carolina. They should have lost. God, who did they played a really bad team early in the year and should have lost. It was was it New Mexico State?
Yeah, and they barely came back and beat them.
They were down. Yeah, they outscored them 21-7 in the fourth quarter and scored with a minute to go to win the game. Yeah. So they should have, they scored back-to-back touchdowns to win the game. They were down 2 scores with 5 minutes to go.
Anyway, sorry, that was a sidetrack. But yeah, I was just talking about Tuesday games starting up this week. So.
They also played, UTEP played them relatively close for a while.
Yeah, real close.
It was
a 4-point game with like towards the end of the third quarter.
They were very fortunate. They could have 2. I mean, they could very well have 3 losses. I mean, they gave up 24 points to Campbell. Okay, let's talk about the big upset. Let's talk Commodore football. All right. Maybe the biggest upset of a number 1 team in history. Would you agree?
No,
of a number 1?
No, because Vanderbilt. I mean, it was the line was what 20. There has to be another one. The line
23.
was 23, and like we even talked about on the show. You gave it as one of your best picks, and me and Jeremiah were talking about it even like before the game. It was and not take anything away from Vanderbilt. They outplayed them 100%, but even Bailey probably coming into the game knew it was good that Alabama was off that big win against Georgia. Coming to Vanderbilt where you have Nick Saban saying it's the easiest place to play in the country because you have more fans there than Vandy has. Not anymore, baby. Not anymore.
Yeah, what was crazy about it too is like throughout the game, we were talking about this before the show, Vanderbilt was the better team pretty much the entire game. It wasn't like this was a fluke thing. And honestly, some of the Alabama plays were fluky. Like Vandy got up 2 scores, and then Ryan Williams made one of the most ridiculous catches. Like it made the Georgia catch look easy. Did you see it where he caught it? Where he jumped out of bounds.
I didn't see it.
And like came back. I'll put it on the screen. It was unbelievable. Like, and then it came down in bounds after jumping up like 4 feet in the air. That guy's vertical is ridiculous. Lands on both feet and runs 40 more yards for a touchdown. I mean, it was one of the best catches I've ever seen. That wasn't like a one-hand grab. And there was another play late in the game. There was a 4th and 1 inside of the 5-yard line where Vanderbilt had a chance to get a stop and win the game. And Bama ran like this double reverse, and Vandy had it sniffed out, and the guy ran past him. At that point, I was like, okay, this is getting a little dicey here. And then on the ensuing kickoff, Bailey, I'm sure you were freaking out. The kid caught the ball and then took a knee at the 18-yard line, which basically just gave up 7 yards of field position. Not to mention, they probably could have gotten at least another 10 yards rushing there. And it made no sense because it felt to me like if you punt the ball back that far, like if they went 3 and out right there, they lose that game. They had to get a first down. I don't think the defense would have gotten a stop. But the last series, there was a 2nd and 12 where they got a first down, and that was like the big play. And it was a great play by Pavia, a little play action. They went. We was texting you. I was like, they're playing not to lose. And then on 2nd and 12, they were like, screw it. We're playing Alabama.
Yeah,
we're going for it.
Yeah.
And they did, and that's why they won. I mean, there was the 4th down and 1 where they bombed the end zone the series before, couple series before that in the third quarter. You know what I'm talking about? It was a 4th and 1 like on the Bama 40.
Yeah. And they took the shot.
They took the shot to the end zone. It looked like he overthrew him, and the guy made a great catch. Yep. So it was an awesome game, man. That was one of the best college football games.
Love that play call, by the way, because if you turn around and hand it against Alabama's front 7, it's 50-50 at best, and then just take a shot, almost like a kill shot there.
Talk about Bama, the repercussions for Bama. Like, what does this mean for them? Is this a problem? Like, a lot of people were calling them out this morning. Stephen A. Smith.
No, because I don't think Vanderbilt's a bad team. I think like Bailey's touched on, they've gotten a lot better. And it was a bad spot playing this game after the Georgia game. And that's nothing to take away. Vanderbilt came out and they kicked their ass. They beat them. But the one thing I did see was like the kid throwing a fit in the field. And did you see that? The kid from Bama, the game's over. You know what I'm talking about, Bailey? Threw his gloves and then went and kicked the ball. Like the ref set the ball and he like kicked the ball. And it was hilarious because someone on Twitter was like, Saban would have sent this kid the last chance and then Jason Brown commented and wrote back, I'd have cut his ass.
I ain't no math major, but I'm a
perfect. Shout out JB. It was
friend of the show, baby.
It was a perfect little thing. It's like, I would have cut his ass.
That's so funny. I love that.
So anyway, that part of it where it's just like, it's not the same. It's not going to be the same, right? They're not playing for Nick Saban anymore. So that kind of shit would not have flown. He would have ran out there personally and grabbed that kid by the fucking face mask and drug him off.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, no, I don't know, man. It's a bad loss, sure, but Vanderbilt's getting much better. I thought that number was too big. It's on the road. It's Vanderbilt's Super Bowl, and you're just coming off your Super Bowl win. It was just a bad spot. But all credit to Vandy. They deserve to win that game. Big win for them. Bama's, sure, loss hurts them, but they could lose another game and still get into the playoffs.
Sure.
So,
no, I agree. And they were talking about, like, does this hurt Alabama's playoff chances? Like, it's no worse than Ole Miss losing to Kentucky.
No,
right?
no.
Like, it really isn't. I can't believe, and I don't know if Bailey knows this, I can't believe Vanderbilt, and I know you're coming off beating Bama, it's the spot, and we're not going to get into the gambling aspect of it here. If you want that, catch us on the Pick'em show, but they're a 13.5-point underdog against Kentucky this week. And I think Vanderbilt's just as good, if not better, than Kentucky. So, and I know, Vanderbilt lost to Georgia State. Well, Kentucky got beat by South Carolina by 25 at home. So, anyway, both teams coming off big wins, and that's an interesting spot there. But I will say one other thing. It was funny when I saw, like, my dad was saying, like, rush the field or whatever, and I think Jonathan was there saying the same thing. But I didn't know they had enough kids to rush the field. Did you see the shot?
How fucking disrespectful,
no.
Bailey. Look at that.
I get it. Did you see the shot, and I'll put it up, of Alabama's fans in the stands versus Vandy's? It looked like an Alabama home game. The whole stands are red, and there's a little section of black.
That's why Saban said it. There's a lot of Asians that go to Vanderbilt that don't care about football.
That's exactly true. I mean, look, and of course, it's so funny. Skip Bayless is wearing his Vanderbilt gear doing a video, and he's never shown off his Vanderbilt gear.
That guy is such a fucking dweeb, Bailey. Did you see his tweet? He was like, me and Eleanor, whatever his wife's name is, every Saturday we go to the mall and we pass by this one bakery. I swear to God, this was a tweet. We pass by, you can put it on there. We pass by this one bakery and we see the pastries, and I say to her every time, that looks so good, but I'm not going to eat it because of the sugar in it. Well, by golly, guess what we did to celebrate? We went and got that pastry, and they didn't eat it, Dylan. They took one bite each of it. That's how they celebrated. I'm like, what a fucking dweeb Skip Bayless is. That's your dad's boy, too.
I think it is. I think I would bet money, even though I'm trying to retire from gambling, I would bet money that Skip Bayless, that Eleanor is a man. I've never seen her.
How dare you disrespect Skip's wife? She's probably a fine lady.
I've never seen her.
Let's move on past Vanderbilt. That's all the Vanderbilt I can talk all year. That was like an hour of Vanderbilt.
Past this, I have a whole costume on for this.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful win. I love the respect you'd give. But you know what? Talk about an ungrateful son of a bitch over here. You come in that, and he just looks at you and says, the train's already left the station. It's too late for you. That's all he said. And then he gave like a Jordan shrug over there, like, you guys are losers, right? I told you to jump on this train a long time ago.
I knew. You guys didn't. Like, what the my Texas Longhorns are number 1, okay?
Ohio State rolled Iowa like I told you they would on the Pick'em show. 35-7. Wasn't even close.
First touchdown allowed to Iowa's offense by a ranked team in 2 years.
Oh, yeah, but it was a trash touchdown. It was in the fourth quarter.
I'm just saying.
It was 35-0.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Iowa scored a trash touchdown.
Why are we even talking Iowa football here?
Because we're talking Ohio State.
Why are we talking Ohio State?
Arkansas knocks off. This is why it was just a great day for Bailey, because Arkansas knocked off Tennessee.
Okay, yeah, hold on. Yes, you're right. 4 top 10 teams go down. Should have been 5.
Yeah, and we were bitching about the slate this week, but the games were fantastic.
Phenomenal.
They were the best.
That's usually what happens, right?
Yeah.
And next week when all the games are great, they'll probably be blowouts, right? Like that's just what happens. But let's just touch on real quick on the upsets. Like you said, number 4, Tennessee goes down to Arkansas. You said it was going to be a close game. We thought it would be an uglier game. Tennessee might be in trouble a little bit. They don't look good at all.
That didn't look good at all. But
and
it could be an overreaction. Like I said, everybody has a loss in the SEC except Texas, right? So teams are losing games. So that was a huge upset.
But you see, it's just interesting because a lot of these games now, I think, and this is more, I think, the topic we can kind of touch on here is you look at the SEC and talks of the playoff and how many teams are going to get in from what conference, right? The problem with the SEC is this. We're week 6 and everybody except Texas has a loss. And you look at like the schedule, like, okay, so you have Tennessee with 1 loss, right? They play Alabama and Georgia still, right? Georgia has 1 loss. They play Texas and at Ole Miss. At Texas, at Ole Miss, they have 1 loss. Ole Miss has 1 loss. They have to play Oklahoma, who has 1 loss, and Georgia, who has 1 loss. My point being, all these SEC teams play each other. Like, how many of these teams are going to get in if we have, like...
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's I was thinking about that, too, and we don't know, right? This is the first year that the committee is going to set the standard on that, right? Are they going to go with your 4 conference champions and then just, the 1 non-part and just the best teams? Are they going to put 5 or 6 SEC teams in there? Or is it going to be like, hey, we're putting 3 or 4 SEC teams in, and we're not even considering a team with 3 losses. You know what I mean? It's going to be very interesting to see.
Yep.
I don't know what they're going to do. If they're trying to put the best teams in, then, we'll see. I mean, look, I know you're an Aggie hater, and not to say that, they're going to get in or any
They're not
stretch.
getting in.
I get that.
But they have a joke of a schedule.
But my whole point is, say A&M only loses 1 more game, and they have 2 losses. Now, it's a stretch. They probably will lose more, but Mike Elko, if you look at it, I was just looking now, Missouri scored twice in the second half, a touchdown and a field goal, okay? Since the first half of that Arkansas game, they held Arkansas to 3 points in the second half, and they might as well have shut fucking Missouri out. They scored late, whatever. You can give them a touchdown.
Sure.
I mean, it wasn't even close. He has that defense, and that's why I said from the beginning, that was the right hire. I know you guys don't
Bowling
like his...
Green scored 20 on him and beat him.
Sure, I'm talking about the last 2 games.
Sure.
I mean, I'm just talking about what he's done.
Arkansas's defense lights the world, offense lights the world on fire, nor do I think Missouri's. But I agree, they're playing much better.
Missouri, everybody thought Missouri coming the year is a top 10 offense in the country.
I did not.
Missouri's offense?
No, they lost their best player. Cody Schrader, the number 1 running back of the SEC last year.
Yeah, it's a white running back. He was good.
He was really good.
Their best player.
Brady Cook sucks.
Most people thought Brady Cook was their best player.
I think Brady Cook sucks.
You were a Brady Cook fan last year.
No, I was not. I've never liked Brady Cook. I've been down on Brady Cook.
Big Brady Cook.
Oh yeah,
but anyway,
me really?
I'm just kidding. But the fact of the matter is, they've looked good the last.
No, they've looked much better.
So I don't know what's going to happen there. But my whole point is, they could, like you said. Listen,
their schedule's a joke.
They play Texas, right? But the thing is, if they beat LSU, I mean, I assume they'll end up losing to either LSU at home or South Carolina.
They're going to lose one
right?
of those games.
You would think. But if they don't, they could potentially lose to Auburn. But I'm just saying, a 2-loss A&M team is going to get in the playoff.
I'm not. Hold on. Here's why I
guarantee you they do.
No.
Because if they lose to Texas,
here's why
I'm telling you, Notre Dame and Texas.
I think they might not. Because well, listen.
Will.
Here's why I think they might not. They might. I don't know. It depends on how the committee views it. They probably will, only because of what I just said and how the SEC is going to beat each other up. They probably would. Here's why they don't deserve to, because that's a joke. They don't play Tennessee. They don't play Georgia. They don't play Alabama. They play Texas. They have one game that they played against two top, decent teams. Notre Dame, they lost. Had no shot, couldn't move the ball. They're probably going to lose to Texas. If they win every other game, I believe at the end of the year, truly, I believe Missouri and LSU will not be ranked. I think Missouri and LSU will end up. So you'll look at you're going to look back at their schedule, and you're going to see the only two ranked teams they played the entire year they lost to, assuming they lose to Texas that last game. That's the only reason I'd be like, you know what? If I'm a committee, and I'm not saying they might put them in, they probably will.
No,
2 losses.
2 losses.
They probably will.
3 losses, no chance. 2 losses, they'll go.
But if you have, here's the thing, at the end, and this will be a debate, right? Let's say an Ole Miss team who plays a much tougher schedule with 3 losses, or a Georgia, or a Bama with 3 losses versus a 2-loss A&M team. All those teams are going to go above them, all of them, because they all played a tougher schedule. Way tougher schedule.
No, if Alabama has 3 losses and a loss to Vanderbilt, they won't get in over them.
I think they would, because Alabama plays a much tougher schedule. But literally,
it depends what the committee does, right? I agree. Yeah, but you have to understand, if they lose to Texas, bro, it's a loss to the number 1 team in the country.
I agree, but
it's
then the argument,
that isn't even gonna that loss will not even that loss doesn't even hurt. If they played Texas and didn't even get a night, say they lost to Texas at home by 10 points. I'm just saying, let's just say they did. If they lost to Texas at home by 10 points and only had that other loss to Notre Dame, they would for sure get in. I promise you. I don't know. I know you don't like them to, and I know you don't agree. Their schedule is weak.
Would you say if let's say they have 2 losses, not saying whether they should, do you think they would deserve to be in with that schedule if the only 2 ranked teams they beat all year? And I know Missouri's number 9. I don't think Missouri's very good. Let's say Missouri ends up being bad, and the end of the year, LSU and Missouri are not ranked, and Texas and Notre Dame are the only 2 losses, and they're the only 2 ranked teams they played. Do you think they deserve to get in with 2 losses over a 3-loss team who played a better schedule, or a 2-loss Big Ten team who played a better schedule?
I don't think they would get in over a 2-loss, but it depends who the Big Ten team is.
But I'm just saying, do you think they deserve? Do you think a 2-loss A&M team who that's their 2 losses should get in the playoff?
It just depends who's around them. I would say no, but my whole thing is, if Bama does have 1 extra loss, and with this loss at Vandy, then I would say yes, they're going to get in with 1 less loss. Because, once again, one of those losses will be to the best team in the country.
Sure.
So they're going to look at that and be like, they only have 1 loss, and it was Notre Dame, and it was the first week of the season.
Sure.
So they're even going to give them grace on that. So it's I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen anyway. I think they'll end up losing 3 games.
They're going to lose.
I'm just saying it's possible that it happens.
No, it is very possible.
Because the defense is playing way better. But you have to say, listen, South Carolina ain't good. But when you have to go on the road in the SEC, it's not easy to win. So they have to go at even Auburn. They could even lose to Auburn.
They could lose either of those games. They could lose to LSU.
I do think, I'm with you. I don't think LSU's that good. I think Texas A&M will beat LSU at home.
Probably.
But I think they will more than likely lose either at South Carolina or at Auburn.
I just don't think they win all 3.
Yeah, I don't either.
LSU at home, South Carolina, Auburn, they're going to lose 1, and that means what'll be interesting about that is they probably comes down to they have to beat Texas to get in the playoff, which is funny because then Texas will probably come into that game already into the SEC championship game, and it's how motivated are you at that point?
They'll be motivated.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, if from a perspective of you don't want to be injured, you don't want to, you're going to play it for being the number 1 they're going to be number 1 or number 5, right? If Texas goes into that last game against A&M and they're 11-0, they're number 1 or number 5, and it has nothing to do with that game, right?
Yeah.
They're either going to win the SEC and be number 1, or they're going to be the 5 seed. Either way, it's the only 2 options.
That is true.
Okay, the other last game I want to talk about, and then we can do a quick.
One last time.
Go ahead.
Pony Express, baby. You asked, I delivered. 2-0. 2-0 on underdog plays, baby.
Let's go. 2 in a row, but 2-1, but 2-0, 2 in a row. 2 in a row.
Who did I lose?
The first week, it was
Oh, Virginia Tech.
Was it Virginia Tech?
Yeah. No, sorry, Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, yes.
Against Louisville.
Hold on. By the way, you should be 3-0. They should have won that game outright. I know they didn't cover, but they should have won the game outright. But hey, look, Turner's delivering. I went 3-1 on my picks. All right, we are.
I'm only delivering because I don't gamble anymore, folks. But listen, 2-0 or 2-1.
We're delivering winners. That's all we are asked to do, and we do that. All right. Turner's back-to-back double-digit dog of the week hit. Okay.
We should just put that in the graphic, double-digit dog in quotes, because it's usually always,
I don't care. It's a touchdown or more.
7 touchdown or more. Yeah.
I just like the title DDD.
Double digits.
Or 34 double D pick of the week. But we'll get there in the Pick'em show. I have an idea for our Pick'em for some like how we can get more points for upsets or something. We'll do a new game this week.
Got it.
Anyway, check out our Pick'em show if you're new to the channel. By the way, we had a really good week on our bets.
Big Dog was undefeated in the NFL.
I will look. I'm being nice.
Undefeated.
Big Dog. He's not undefeated, but he did win in the NFL
Bailey,
this week.
Yep, he took us out. No one knows NFL ball like Big Dog. Okay?
I was 6-7. Turner was 7-6, and my dad was 8-5.
What did we do in college?
You beat me. You beat me pretty handedly. Let's see. You beat me. Oh no, you beat me by 1 in college. Let's see. You went 21-9. I went 20-10.
Got it.
Real quick, last topic. I want to talk about the Cal game, and then we'll get into quick winners losers. It was a crazy comeback from Miami.
Yep. It was a Brooklyn comeback.
Yes, it was. 20 points in the fourth quarter. I'm gonna put the targeting call up on the screen. But basically, last series, Cal is driving. They had collapsed without a doubt. It was actually crazy game day there. They were wild.
They were going nuts.
They were going nuts. And then it was just like an onslaught. I feel bad for Cal because that would have been a program defining win.
Yeah.
For
with
Justin
college
Wilcox,
game day there and everything.
And they should have won the game. And that's why I hate. Now I will say, and here I want you to pull up. Will you pull up or I can pull it up and show you.
Yeah, show it to me.
The hit. I want your thoughts on whether you think this was a targeting call or not. I honestly, when I was watching it back, I thought it was not targeting, but the fact that they called it targeting and then they were reviewing it, I'm not sure.
I'll be the judge of this. If Miami got another homer call, I'm sure they did.
I don't know. I wanted Cal to win, and when I'm watching this, I kind of think that this.
I hate games ending on shit like that, though. So my brothers are gonna hate this because they're tough football guys. They called that targeting on the field.
Yeah, they did.
It's targeting.
Yeah, I think it is too. Now
That's
that I watched that back,
crazy that they picked that up.
I can't believe that.
That's Miami back-to-back weeks, baby.
And
that
was game. So that was game over.
Yeah,
so they would have been a first down.
I mean, listen, I hate, and Jeremiah said this, and I agree with him. He's like, if you look at the rules for targeting, dude, it's so stupid. There's like 10 rules. And I agree, but that play, listen, the only reason it saved him is because it was a ball carrier, right? Like whatever. Right. But the way that he absolutely, by the letter of the law, he lunges and ducks his head and it hits him in the head.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that should be targeting because he didn't his head wasn't like this. But if that was in the second quarter, he would have gotten thrown out 100 times out of 100.
Sure.
There's a 0% chance that gets overturned. That's wild. That's some ACC home cooking. That's why I said they should go. There should be, because now, even on that call, right, it goes to the ACC. Because remember how it used to be where you just have the replay official and it was one guy upstairs and he was running it, talking to the official? Now it goes into the ACC because I remember them showing the guy on the computer in the corner talking to the referee, and I was like, the ACC makes the call.
They make the call.
Crazy.
And I mean,
now it's ACC officials obviously on the field, but I'm just saying from like being in a booth and it's like, okay, well, we know what's best for the conference here, and it's like, oh, this is borderline. Let's just pick it up. Like, I mean, what?
I mean, that's literally 2 weeks.
And
in
I don't
a row.
even think that's a conspiracy. I mean,
no, it's not.
It's not. I mean, it's like real bad for business. It's like we have to get a team in the playoff.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna get one either way, but they have a team they want two, and they also want a chance for a team to actually win. And so, if Miami doesn't win the ACC, are they gonna get in? We don't know. If they lose 2 or 3 games, they're not, and now you have a bad team in the playoff. You just don't. You prefer, and you want them and Clemson are both solid. You want your best teams to win.
I mean, I think ultimately they're going to get 2 in there because
they're probably going to get Clemson's
going to beat Wake Forest. They're going to beat Virginia.
Again, though.
They could now listen, they could absolutely trip up on one of these games. But I'm saying here's what I'm saying. Even if they lose one of these games and they get into the ACC championship, if they won that game, they're in and Miami's in too, right? So, I mean.
Sure.
So, I don't.
Again,
but Pitt is somehow ranked and undefeated.
But see, again, I know. This is the crazy thing. Pitt should have 2 losses.
Yeah.
This is the crazy thing, though, about that debate. And I know we're kind of being repetitive here, but it's like, all right, you have a Clemson team who, let's say they lose to Georgia, and let's say they win out, and they lose the ACC championship game to Miami. They have 2 losses, right? A&M's got 2 losses. They played nobody. Who gets in if that's the last spot, right? Like, it's going to be, this is the problem, is you don't know how it's going to play out, and I understand that, but you have so many of these, it's going to be...
Oh, but A&M plays a tougher schedule than Clemson, though.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying that I agree with you 100%. What I'm saying is, you look at their 2 losses, right? Georgia in a neutral game 1, they lose against Miami in an ACC championship game. Say Miami's undefeated or 11-1, and now you have a team who's only lost to 2 really good teams, similar to how A&M is, and I'm just saying, would the committee think, all right, do we really want to put 5 SEC teams in?
No, they would
or
probably
do we
go with
take, So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, how many of these, it's going to be interesting to
But
see. Same thing with the Big 12. There's like 4 undefeated teams in the Big 12.
I only think there's going to, ultimately, like you said, with all the losses, I think there's only going to be 3, at the end of this, when the smoke settles, I think there's only going to be 3 SEC teams with 2 losses. Everybody else will have 3.
Yeah.
I would be shocked that there's 4 with 2 losses.
But I just could see.
Because everybody just beats up on each other.
I agree, but I think there's a scenario just like.
I expect Texas to beat Georgia at home, so
let's
that's going to give them.
Let's say Texas is going to win, right? Let's say Texas wins out. They're the first team. Georgia theoretically loses to Texas, could win every other game. Bama theoretically could lose 1 more and win every other game. Those 2 teams, and now you have those 3: Texas, Georgia, Bama. That's 3 teams. I have a hard time believing that if they all have 1 or 2 losses, they all get in. Now what do you do with, again, this is where you go. Now what do you do with a 2-loss A&M or a 2-loss Ole Miss team?
The problem where it gets real dicey to me is, and I don't know what they're going to do, is so, we've always talked about this, you shouldn't get penalized for playing in the SEC championship game.
I agree.
But what happens if a 2-loss team goes and just gets steamed? Say Texas beats them by 40. Then what happens to them? Are they out because they went to play Texas? Like, that doesn't make it. Like, if you're a conference that's getting 4, say you're getting 4 teams in, I'm making that number up. The team that wins and loses in the conference championship game should both go. You can't penalize a team for getting wiped out in a championship game.
Yep.
I mean, because that game, in reality, the committee should say, this game doesn't matter except for the fact that whoever wins it gets to bye. Other than that, we're not looking at it as far as a resume.
Yep.
Because you just get screwed at that point. That's happened to plenty of people before. It's not a new thing, but I'm just saying there's going to be, now with 12 teams, and you say you are looking at 4 SEC teams, that's bound to happen. There's going to be teams that are idle with 2 losses, and then someone losing the SEC championship game, and maybe they go to 3 losses after that. So you're going to tell me, oh no, they're out now because they lost that? That doesn't make any sense. So
no, I agree.
I mean,
it's like, but again, and we can move on from this topic, but Bama goes to the SEC championship game. They have 2 losses. They lose to Texas. They have 3 losses. A&M has 2 losses.
Well, then Bama's for sure.
But I'm just saying, like, scenario like that, it's interesting to think about how they do that, because I agree. But maybe they don't. Maybe you're right. Maybe they say, know what? A&M has 2 losses. They're only in Notre Dame and Texas. They go and Bama has 3. I don't think they would do that, but they could.
Yeah,
they could.
I don't know what's going to happen.
It's going to be interesting. Hopefully, it'll work itself out and nobody gets screwed. But it also is going to be hard to be like, well, I feel sorry for a team for being the 11th best team.
Right, and that's what they've been saying about this. Is like, hey, look, you would have had no shot prior to getting in.
Sure.
Now you were at least in the conversation.
Absolutely. And somebody's always going to be upset. And we don't know. Like the problem with A&M beating Missouri, too, is like they beat them so bad, they pushed them back to 21. They're going to be unranked with 1 more loss. Like some of these outcomes affect the ranking of how a team ends up looking. Yeah. So anyway, all right, let's do quickly. We'll go through winners and losers. I'll start. Biggest winner for me, I mentioned this at the top of the show, Army and Navy. Both 5-0 for the first time since 1945. Specifically, I want to talk about Navy, though. I have said this for 3 weeks. You've heard me talk about them. I think they're really good. We talked about how they are the play caller for Navy is awesome. Drew Cronick. He basically has made this like hybrid of the old wing T offense, but they line up in shotgun, and so it's super. So it's think about how hard it is to defend a triple option, right? If you're like preparing for a week, but then you throw in where they can throw on any play, they can fake the run, and they have a quarterback who can actually sling the ball, who's throwing for 200 yards per game. It makes it really hard to guard. Right. And you look at Navy as a whole, and legitimately looking at their schedule, they have an actual shot at going undefeated. Will they? I don't know. Their defense isn't great, right? Like they gave up 40.
I think they do. I think they ultimately may lose one, but it would be interesting to see. Like Army could lose one game, and then they play each other both with one loss. And I mean, man, I don't know what they would do as far as if they could get in or not.
They play Notre Dame. I didn't realize Navy
they play
plays
Notre Dame. Shit, they might
no,
be
they
Notre
could
Dame.
still be, and it's at home. I think they could be Notre Dame, but I'm just saying, man, see, that's another thing. So they're Notre Dame, and they also play at South Florida and versus Tulane.
They actually have the thing is that they have going for them is, say they only lose to Notre Dame and they win out.
Yeah.
They have a much tougher schedule than Boise State.
Absolutely they do.
So you could definitely put them in ahead of them.
Absolutely.
The only thing that I worry about is, are they technically independent?
They're in the American.
They're in the American?
Yep,
Okay.
so they'll have a chance to win their conference. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Navy used to be independent. That's why I said
no, they used to be independent, and both Army and Navy are now in the American Conference officially.
The fact that they got a quarterback that can finally throw now at Navy is pretty cool, though. They're fun to watch.
Apparently, that kid was the quarterback last year, and they just taught him to throw in the offseason. But I mean, like literally,
it's
the guy
crazy concept.
It's we can actually use this forward pass thing that they use.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're fun to watch. Their offense is actually really explosive. The quarterback is really good. Dude, what's crazy is, I know this is probably wild to say, but if they go undefeated or 11-1, if you look at Blake Horvath, the quarterback, you have to put him in the Heisman conversation if they go undefeated. He's leading the team in rushing and passing. He's running for over 100 yards a game and passing for over 150. And he's got a total of 10 rushing touchdowns and 7 passing touchdowns. Like, if you look at numbers-wise, if that was any other school, he would be in the Heisman conversation. Like, no doubt. It's just that they're playing this offense where it's tailored to a quarterback running. But to me, if you're throwing too and they're undefeated and they beat Notre Dame, he's got to be in the conversation. Absolutely has to be in the conversation.
My big winner is a team that I didn't give up on from the beginning of the year. Dylan loves to hate on them. The SMU Mustangs go into Louisville and win. And when you look at the results, they played a horrible game against Nevada to open the year, right? Horrible. Everybody can agree with that. But guess what? They got out of there to win. Annihilated Houston Christian, of course. Their only loss is to a 5-0 BYU team.
Looks a lot better now.
Looks way better now.
Still think BYU sucks.
You're crazy. Who beat the brakes, wheels off of Kansas State, and have beat everybody they've played convincingly, except maybe the Baylor game dicey at the end. Beat TCU by 24. TCU's no good. Beat the shit out of Florida State, and then beat Louisville at Louisville. When you look at the rest of their schedule, dude, at Stanford, win. At Duke, probably a win. They played Pitt at home and Boston College at home. Dude, they don't have an ACC loss. They could easily get in an ACC championship still.
No, they absolutely
easily.
Could.
I mean,
They're not going to.
They don't have to play Miami. They don't have to play Clemson. So
That's
they
actually
could
pretty wild.
No, yeah. So they could easily
Miami and Clemson play each other?
No.
How does that work?
Because there's 16 fucking teams.
I know, but how on earth do you have the bet like SMU, Clemson, and Miami? None of them play each other. That's pretty.
So
wild.
I'm calling it now. Dylan hates it. Says not going to happen. SMU will be in the ACC championship.
There's no shot. Wrong.
Okay, well, who are they going to lose to on their schedule?
They're going to lose 2 games. I don't know who they're going to lose to, but they're going to lose 2 games. I'll tell you right now. Let's see. They're going to lose to.
I think they lose 1.
They'll lose. I'm just looking at this.
They're not going to lose to Stanford or Duke. I think they'll beat Pitt at home. I think they'll either lose to Boston College or Virginia.
Man, that's a pretty weak schedule. It's going to be hard for them to lose to. I'll say they're going to lose to Pitt, and they're going to lose the last game to Cal. That's what I think.
Certainly could happen.
Both
those games are at home. I think they're more likely to lose at Virginia than either of those. But they get to play, not that Boston College and Cal are like that hard to play, but they're getting harder, and to have Pitt, Boston College, and Cal all at home.
Yeah, and Virginia's not horrific. I mean, Duke's not horrific. Duke actually impressed me this week. Georgia Tech I was on Georgia Tech, and they probably shouldn't have covered and did. Duke actually played pretty well. They're a good defense. No, they're going to beat Stanford this week for sure, but that is a letdown spot, I will say. I don't know what the line is on that game, but you've won 3 straight. You're coming off a big road win.
Stanford looks bad. We both thought they would keep that close against Virginia Tech, and they got mollywopped.
My second biggest winner, and I'll do this fast, Indiana, 6-0.
Yep.
First 6-0 start in program history.
Bullshit backdoor cover on into fourth quarter cover on Northwestern.
What was the
Northwestern. I had Northwestern keeping that game close, which they did most of the game. They ended up winning by 17. I think the line we talked about
was
on the
13.5.
14-13. Yeah.
So they
scored late.
Oh yeah,
a couple times late.
Dude, yeah, it was 27-24 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that. I just saw the final.
It was
score.
a close game. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very close game. 17-10 at halftime. Yeah, Northwestern hung with them. But Caden Rourke, the quarterback, 25 of 33, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's a stud, man, and they have a legitimate shot to go 11-1. Nebraska next week, huge game at home. They win that one. Looking at their schdule, it's going to come down to the Michigan and Ohio State games. Those are the only two.
I think they'll beat Nebraska.
I think they'll beat Nebraska, and they get Michigan at home, who doesn't look great. They legitimately, dude, looking at the schedule, they could go 11-1. I don't know that they will, but they could. You have any other winners or no?
I was going to make the thing that drives me crazy is that Boise State is literally just like they don't want Jeanty to win the Heisman.
It's so frustrating.
They pulled him at halftime. He had 13 carries for 186 yards and 3 touchdowns. They pulled him at halftime. If he played the whole game, he would have had 350 yards and 5 touchdowns. Like, they don't want him to get Barry Sanders' record, and they don't want him to win the Heisman.
I'd be livid.
I get that the coach is like, hey, dude, look, we're keeping you fresh. We're trying to get into the playoff. I get all that. But if I'm him, I'm like, nah, man, fuck that. I want to win the Heisman. Like,
100%.
They didn't, against Portland State, he didn't even play, basically. He had like 10 carries.
Yeah,
like,
he had 11 carries for 127 yards, didn't score a touchdown, and they did not let him play in the second half. That's 2 games that he did not play in the second half.
Yep.
Dude, he's got 1,000 yards, over 1,000 yards, and 16 touchdowns in 5 games.
Should be 1,300 easy with another 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, like, legitimately, if you actually look at this, he has only really played 4 games because he played a half in Portland State and a half against Utah State.
His first carry against Utah State was hilarious. He busted like 3 tackles and ran for a touchdown. His first play of the game was 62-yard touchdown.
I saw it. Every single run, every single time he touches the ball, it's a show. It's electric. He runs like Marshawn Lynch. I've never seen anything like it in my life that consistently. It's absurd.
It's so dumb that
we are Team Jeanty for Heisman here. Like, literally, I don't understand how he's not a favorite. Especially with now Milroe not looking good last week, and he was the big favorite. And they're acting, dude, you're going to compare Travis Hunter to Jeanty is a joke. It's a joke. Travis Hunter isn't in the same realm. Ridiculous to even consider that.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's just because he plays both ways.
Don't care. He's a below-average cornerback. Below-average wide receiver. Great cornerback. Below-average wide receiver. Go ahead, biggest losers. I'll go. Sonny Dykes, TCU.
Oh, you that was mine.
Go ahead, then.
He's an idiot.
Go ahead, you got it.
That Willie Fritz outcoached him the whole fuck. I watched that game. Houston has been terrible, and listen, it's just TCU not ready to play, coming out flat, and then it was hilarious. Sonny Dykes tries to sub these receivers in, like an extra receiver here and there and whatever, and then Houston would literally walk off the field. Like, a guy would go trotting off. It was hysterical. He would trot off. I wish you could get the – it'd take him 10 seconds to get off, and the guy coming on would not even start until he hit the sideline, which is the rules. So Dykes had to keep calling timeouts or get delay of games. I'm like, dude, when are you going to learn? Quit subbing your guys. And it's an absolute abomination that Bailey's boy – Ken Seals isn't starting.
Dude, how honestly in
Bailey,
all
I mean, he must be. I don't know. No disrespect to Seals, but if he's not playing there, he's either hurt or he's really not great.
No, I think I think we might see him next week. No, I'm serious though.
They have to put him in next week. The rest, they're terrible,
dude. And Hoover threw 2 picks this week. He's thrown 2 picks in 3 consecutive games.
Yeah, Hoover's no good.
He's horrible. And the fact that they keep this is the funny thing. Look, this is a guy who, when Max Duggan was there, started the wrong quarterback. And the only reason the year they went to the national title, was because the starting quarterback who Sonny Dykes picked, got injured, and they had to put Max Duggan back in.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
He would never have been the starter, and he takes him to the national title game. He was the main reason. So Sonny Dykes is a horrible coach.
Will was a big Duggan guy.
Yeah, Will loves Duggan, but terrible, terrible coach. He hired Andy Avalos, who got fired from Boise State 4 weeks into the season last year as his defensive coordinator. Disaster. Got thrown out of a game. I've never seen a football coach thrown out of a game except for Buddy Stevens at EMCC.
Shout out, Buddy.
For fighting a
Buddy's
referee.
the man, too.
Buddy, sticking that red man tobacco in.
Yep.
But I've never seen a coach in an FBS game get thrown out. He got thrown out of the game 2 weeks ago. Gave up 68 points to SMU. It's a joke. It's a joke. He needs to be fired. That is clearly, was his coordinators and his players taking him to the national title game fluke year where they won a bunch of close games. The guy's a horrible coach. Needs to go. Since you got that one, I'll go number 2. We talked about it quickly. Missouri getting embarrassed by A&M. You're a top 10 team. Come in. You literally don't score a touchdown or a point till the fourth quarter. And I think it was like 24-0 at halftime, and then the first play of the second half, A&M busts like a 70-yard touchdown run. You come out just uninspired and basically probably shit all your playoff hopes away in one game. No fight whatsoever. Embarrassed by A&M. Drops all the way out of the top 20. They're horrible. Any other loser for you?
Just Tennessee, just mainly the Tennessee offense not being able to do anything against Arkansas. So we didn't know. You had mentioned it. Nico had looked okay against, obviously, much lesser competition. So we didn't know how they were going to look. And listen, Arkansas is a fine football team, right? They absolutely should have beaten Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's not great anyway. They got absolutely smoked by West Virginia, which I just saw the score here. That's one of the games I didn't know happened, but West Virginia smoked them. But yeah, Tennessee offense doesn't look near as promising as people think. So
yeah.
And good win for the Hogs. Happy for Sam Pittman.
Yeah, good for him. He looks like he's going to keep his job.
For Sammy.
Last big loser, we're going to go with UNLV. Got screwed. Horrible call at the end of the game against Syracuse. It was in overtime, and they were down. They were up 3, and it was 3rd and 17. And on 3rd and 17, they force an incompletion, and Syracuse is going to have to kick a 50-yard field goal to tie the game. And they call a personal foul, and they call roughing the passer with targeting when the only call should have been targeting. They review it. They say no targeting on the play. It was not a late hit at all. It was just they thought he hit him in the head. Thought it was a helmet to helmet. And they said no targeting, but because the official on the field called it roughing the passer, they could not pick the penalty up. It was a 15-yard penalty. Instead of a kicker who is 50% on the year having to kick a long field goal to tie the game, they get a first down and goal inside the 10-yard line. They score 2 plays later, and Syracuse wins the game, and it was absolute travesty. UNLV's season, undefeated season, gone. And look, they were scumbags for how they handled it if they did screw that quarterback, which it sounds more and more like they did. But that said, they should have won this game, and they got absolutely screwed. My tweet went viral, by the way. Got 14,000 likes on tweeting about how there's no accountability for officials, and UNLV got screwed. But that was ridiculous. A horrible call.
Officials are people too.
They're
have
scum
families.
of the earth. Scum of the
have
earth.
families.
Scum of the earth. All right, that's all we got. We got to get out of here so we can do the Pick'em Show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. Check out our Pick'em Show.
And don't try to jump on the Vanderbilt ship. It's too late. The train has left the station.
To all my
That's coming from Bailey.
To all my Vanderbilt fan friends out there, all the true fans like myself, go Commodores.
That's right.
Go check out the Door Report. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.
That would be hysterical.